Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. Universities should accept equal numbers of male and female students in every subject. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Agreement. A university should accept male and female students equally. There is an old saying, "Give me an educated mother and I will give you an educated nation." This proverb emphasizes the women education. Throughout the history, men and women both worked together to build a better world, and whatever stage the current world is in, that has been contributed both by male and female, surely not by one gender. As university education is so important for the full bloom of one person's merit, skill and knowledge, equal opportunity for both male and female students should be ensured. To begin with, if only men go ahead in education, research, arts, history and women stay home, then no good can be done. The history suggests that men are dominant in numbers in science, arts, engineering, creativity and business sectors. But we cannot deny the contribution of Mother Teresa and Madame Marie Curie, who have devoted their whole life to the betterment of the world. It is true that if the competition is arranged regardless of gender, more male students will be ahead of women. But still, universities should accept an equal number of students. If fewer females hold the important sectors of a country, naturally women will feel deprived, and this will lead them to compete with men. It is a mother who is much more emotionally attached to their children and friendlier to children than fathers. So they help the children in their study. So the importance of female education in the higher level should get a priority considering this single issue. In conclusion, universities should accept the same number of students from both sexes and give an equal opportunity at every level. Model Answer 2. Disagreement. A university should not accept male and female students equally. The society and educational system have changed significantly from the old era when it was almost impossible for a girl to study in a university while only boys were allowed to do so. Now a girl can enroll to a university at her wish and merit. In many universities, female students exceed the male students in many subjects. I oppose the idea of granting the same number of male and female students in every subject offered in a university bypassing the merit list. First of all, a university aims to educate people and prepare them for the future, and those students would lead the country in the future. If the admission process prioritizes sentiments and tries to accept the same number of students from both genders in each subject, it would not be a good idea for the country. Rather, they should focus on talent, and there is no harm if more female students can get admitted to the university based on talent. Second, the important qualifications are the academic performance and merit. Here gender issues should not be considered. The equal number of male and female students in every subject is a whimsical idea that would deprive many talented male students. Third, since there is no restriction on the number of female students allowed for a subject, they can naturally compete in a fair fight and show their competence rather than being pitied by a policy. Again, not all male and females are equally interested in studying in every subject, they have their own choices. Implementing the equal number of male and female students in each subject would take away the freedom from students to study in their favorite subject. In conclusion, the idea of admitting the same number of male and female students in university level in each subject is not a good idea, and the admission should be strictly based on choice and merit rather than emotion. Model Answer 3. Universities are the places for higher education that straightly direct one's future career. Since today's belief is to obtain the equality between male and female, some may say that women are able to do whatever men can do, and thus, a university should maintain the same number for both genders in every course. This is a very controversial issue, and I shall hold the opposite opinion. Although male and female students can share the same ability to obtain and convey knowledge of one specific expertise to the practical work, some majors just prefer one gender to the other. For example, the job of civil engineering seems to fit better for men than women since it requires strong physical ability. Although not impossible, it is hard for a woman to work as a firefighter or policeman. On the other hand, a fewer male would apply to work as nurses or baby sisters since these jobs require some delicate touches or a woman's hand. Moreover, universities provide necessary education to train a limited number of qualified candidates, and thus, there should be a fair competition for all who wish to receive this education. Balancing between genders may strip away the opportunity of some male or female candidates. It should be let for the natural selection as the survival of the fittest that encourages both men and women to fight for their right to pursue their dream jobs. In conclusion, it is not necessary to hold a balance between male and female students in every university course since different majors attract different genders and one has his or her free will to join in any part of life with a fair fight. Model answer 4. Disagreement. A university should not accept male and female students equally. Many argue that to avoid any gender discrimination, an equal number of male and female students should be accepted in every subject. This is a very controversial issue, however, I hold the opposite opinion. First of all, I strongly believe that occupations are gender-related. There are some tasks that women do better than men. It may not be easy to admit that men, for example, make better civil or electrical engineers. Although not impossible for a woman to be the police or a firefighter, but due to the high physical demand for these jobs very few women would opt to be one. Hence it seems useless to accept male and female students in such fields. More importantly, I believe that the priority should go to the more capable individual. The aim of all universities should be to accept the best candidate whether it is a male or a female. As a result of this, we would expect to see varying proportions of male and female students in different fields. Men would not be able to compete with women in some fields and vice versa, hence overall, this would be a fair approach. Furthermore, this would encourage all male and female students to try hard to achieve a place. A form of natural selection will take place, survival of the fittest, and the end result would benefit us all. The individual with the highest level of capability would be allowed to pursue the career, and hence is more likely to be successful in the future. To conclude, I hold the opinion that universities should not accept male and female students equally. Using the above-mentioned techniques would be far more advantageous for all of us. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. People attend colleges or universities for many different reasons, for example, new experiences, career preparation, increased knowledge, etc. Why do you think people attend colleges or universities? You should give reasons for your answer using your own ideas and experience. Write at least 250 words. Model answer 1. People primarily enroll in a college or university to achieve the necessary education and degree they require to build a career. Apart from the career, people seek higher studies to gain knowledge, to enhance social status and learn more about diverse cultures. The current society and its educational structures are far different than they had been a century back, when a self-educated person could gain a good career and parents could arrange private tutors to ensure their children's education. But in today's world, universities are the authority to declare a person to have the necessary education to be ready for the job. People are going to universities because this is the most common way of getting the education. The sole purpose of a college or university is to ensure the proper theoretical and moral education to build the ideal citizens the country needs, and this is the system which is unquestionably accepted by the society. People who do not have the plan to use their certificate to get a job either because they have other career plans or may be blessed with inherited fortune. Many go to these educational institutes to learn values, gather ideas and education they require to be good humans. In fact, education is a borderline between a savage person and a good man, and this is another reason the society has adopted the idea of education for all. Some people go to universities to get further education to enhance their horizon or to improve their job position and salary. Others go to the colleges and universities to let the world know that they are educated. Funny this may seem, but many people simply consider the higher education as the status they require to get a higher position in the society. In conclusion, education, experiencing diverse cultures and customs, getting prepared for the future career, improving job position, subject matter interests and social status are the main reasons for people to attend colleges and universities. Sample answer 2. Colleges and universities are often referred to educational, as well as skill enhancement, hub. Students enroll in colleges in order to acquire knowledge, which enhances their future career prospects. However, there are other reasons why many attend colleges. The majority of people attend universities to pursue their higher education, which gears up their opportunities in the job market. Likewise, many have a far greater goal in their lives, and in order to reach their heights, they choose colleges. A college or university acts as the main basement for the enlightened people. A great revolution has already occurred in the field of technology, and that is correlated with the job market. Students seem to join colleges in order to attain knowledge, which creates avenues for their dream jobs. Moreover, exposure to the social world is the main constraint for a student, and the best place to develop such skills is none other than colleges. Colleges inculcate a social behavior to the students and provide a wide range of facilities that allow an individual to enhance skills. Some students join a college or university for social status, and some who join from family pressure may also get a good career guidance under the roof of colleges by the experienced faculty who guides them how to develop their profile to match the desired target. In my opinion, college environment acts as a precursor to a student's successful career, and that is the reason many pupils join in colleges or universities to make their future dream come true. Sample answer 3. The university is a citadel for learning. It is a place where pupils of diverse cultures, ethnicities, backgrounds and religions come together with the major purpose of knowledge acquisition. However, some students enroll to better equip them for their future ambition, while others still attend to feel social status. My personal reason for attending colleges was to increase knowledge. Let us consider someone who comes to the college for the experience. I believe the intention, in this case, is not just to meet new friends, because this can be done anywhere else. He wants to understand different behaviors and interact with persons from different areas and various levels of intelligence. By so doing, he gradually imbibes knowledge at different levels and at different points. For instance, I know of a very good friend who always wanted to attend a higher institution. When I inquired as to the particular school he wanted, her reply was simple: "I do not have any school in mind, all I want is to go get new experience and change my environment." However, after 4 years in the university, I observed that her attitude, intelligence, abilities and sagacity has increased greatly. This shows me that the ultimate end of going to the university is to acquire knowledge. Also, for those who think that their reason for going to school is for career preparation, the statistics suggest that over 70% people who studied a particular course or discipline in Nigeria do not end up practicing the same course, and are never found along the career line throughout their lifetime. Evidence of various microbiologists who are now chief editors in newspaper agencies across the nation is the proof that university does not prepare students for a particular job. One of my idols studied petroleum engineering, but he is currently working with the First Bank of Nigeria. In conclusion, a university for me is like a crucible, a furnace where minds are molded with the fire of knowledge in order to adapt to the outside world. We may have different reasons why we enter the colleges and universities, but one thing and only but one thing is for sure: the core reason why people attend the university and college is to increase knowledge. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question: do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Parents are the best teachers. Use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. You should give reasons for your answer using your own ideas and experience. Write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Agreement. Parents are the best teachers. Whether parents are our best teachers or not is a never-ending debate, and people are divided both in favor and against this argument. Both have a very strong contribution and influence on a child's learning, but in my opinion, parents overtake the teachers in terms of teaching their children. First of all, I would like to point out that a teacher is not merely a person who takes a textbook and read texts from there to a student. Rather, a teacher is someone who devotes his/her times to teach someone everything that someone needs to know to advance to next step. Morality, intricacies of life, subject matter knowledge, art, science, history, value of time, etc. are something that can't be taught through academic books, and a good teacher is someone who teaches someone these all. Now that we know the true responsibility of a teacher, we can easily compare our parents and teachers. The things that we learn from our parents are far more important than what we learn from our teachers. I am not denying the invaluable knowledge we learn from our teachers through our academic years, but what we learn from our parents are incomparable. We learn to survive, talk, and distinguish well from bad, values of life, morality and such important other things from our parents. We are the true reflection of our parents and our characters are shaped by their personality and behaviors. Later the teachers help us to enhance our knowledge, horizon and our view of life, but the very foundation and ground are made by our parents. The parents sacrifice so many things of their life just to ensure a better life for us, and nothing in this whole world could even be compared with their sacrifice for us. Think of a student who is unable to pay her monthly school fees would be cast away from the school, and the beloved teachers would scarcely be there to help her. On the other hand, the parents would always be there with their every possible effort to help the child. In summary, the things we learn from our teachers are important for our lives, and with those valuable lessons and knowledge we prepare for the future, but the things we learn from our parents shapes who we are, who we become, and their contribution is much more important compared to the contribution of the traditional academic teachers, and that's why in my opinion parents are best teachers. Model answer 2. Agreement. Parents are the best teachers. Parents can be the best teacher for every child coming on this earth. I agree with this statement, as no learning institution can be compared with the parents, as they are role models for their children since they open their eyes in this world till they are fully grown up and matured. To start with, when the child is born, he sees his parents as his guide, mentor and teacher who will teach him how to speak, eat, drink, live, wear, interact, etc. No one will be with him when he is crying for anything. It will be the parents who will be with him for every problem and her every need. Even during his education days he will observe and learn that the school, although is the learning institution, but the moral and ethical values learned from parents are far greater than any learning center, and parents will be the one who wants the children to be the best in this world, and they want their children not to repeat the mistakes that they have done in their lives, which any learning institution won't care for, as they can't give individual attention to every student. On the other hand, we see that generally the children who are orphans or could not get the attention from their parents don't have that foundation of ethical, moral and social values as compared to the ones who have been trained by their parents, despite all of them have gone to schools, colleges, etc. The only difference between them is parents. If the parents are not well educated, they could still prove to be good teachers for their children, but that will be of less fruitful from the highly educated parents, as educated and learned parents will have more vision and more horizon as compared to the unlearned. I would like to conclude with the statement that parents can be a turning point for his child if he tries to teach every step of living this life. Model answer 3. Disagreement. Parents are not the best teachers. Parents teach a lot to the children, and the ground made by them shapes the future of the children. On the other hand, someone learns throughout his life and thus become the person he really is. In this learning process, he himself contributes the most, and teachers, friends, nature, books, academic education are important as well. Though parents are very good teachers, in my opinion, they are not the best teacher for someone, and the person himself is the best teacher for him. After we learn to talk, walk, and basic morality and intricacies of our life, we start going to school, and there we learn new things every day. The book, the teachers, the friends and the environment shapes what we become. Parents teach their kid to a bright, good fellow, and yet there are lots of immoral and corrupted people who actually were transformed badly by themselves. So someone himself is the best teacher for him. Besides this, the things we learn from our life experiences, teachers and books become far more important than what we learned in our infant time. Parents do their fine duty to raise a child to become a good adult, and later he gets the education and experiences from his life, and school play the vital role for his future. In terms of being our teachers, our experience and nature play an utmost important role. We learn so many things from our surroundings, and nature is a silent teacher who widely opens the mystery and significance of our life. The things we learn from our parents are of course important to our life, but they are rather some righteous lessons and good advices. Later in our life, we face the real situations and learn the true lessons from our experience, and in terms of learning, this is the most important part. So considering all of the above, I would like to opine that parents are very important teachers for us, but never the best teachers. Model answer 4. Disagreement. Our parents are the first teachers. They teach us how to talk and many other things which are vital for leading our lives. There are many different parents who instruct the children and handle their lives. Some parents want their child to conquer more than the efforts. They try to be the best teachers for the children. They pay more attention, and thus there are some conflicts between children and parents. So the child looks for the avenue to escape. It makes the child walk on the wrong road. Teachers at a school have the chance to guide many children. So, they can compare different situations and potential of children more than parents can do. So, they are more capable of instructing and guiding them properly. In our town, we can see many negligent parents. They leave their children in another house, and sometimes the children play on the road and hurt themselves and become the victims of accidents. Some concerned people have to return the child to his home back. Parents are not teaching and showing the preventive measures in dangerous situations to the children. But some parents can become better teachers for the child and thus prevented tragic consequences. Some parents will deliberately instruct the child in some dangerous attitude or philosophy, and they let the child adhere to evil things. So the children enjoy more in risky conditions and grow up to be a very perilous person. One, therefore, should not presume that parents are always the best teacher. Sometimes they are the worst teachers a child might have. Model answer 5. Agreement. Parents are the best teachers. The responsibility of child development is often a subject that is discussed and debated. While some would argue that since a child spends maximum time at school, the teachers should take responsibility for ensuring proper development of children. However, I strongly believe that it is parents who are the best teachers, and they play a very important role in the manner a child is groomed. To begin, parents are the ones who could better control the disciplinary aspects of the child. The manner in which a child manages his time, right through the day, is better judged and analyzed by parents. This provides them with an opportunity to ensure that the child has the right balance of all activities, be it studies, outdoor activities, indoor activities, and reading. Research has indicated that children do get addicted to one kind of activity, which is not good for the overall development of a child. For example, there are several instances where children spend more time, say, on computer games. This can result in the child losing out on social skills. Further, such a child might eventually turn out to be a loner, with very limited ability to interact, socialize, and communicate with people. Additionally, for a good healthy living and a steady mind, children need to have a healthy and balanced diet. Parents do have better control over this aspect and can ensure that a child gets a balanced diet with the right nutrients. Research has shown proper upbringing of children by parents can lead to lower crime rates, lower health problems like obesity, and higher literacy rate. To conclude, there might be some people who argue that schools are the places where teaching happens, but this is not always the case. Nevertheless, the role of parents is even more critical in ensuring that children imbibe the right values, morals, and ethics. This will go a long way in benefiting not just the individual but also the society. If you like the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. World history suggests that violence and conflict were more evident under male leadership than under female leadership. So, for peace to prevail, female leadership can be considered as a better option than male leadership. To what extent do you agree or disagree? You should write at least 250 words. Model answer 1. Disagreement. Denied the fact that violence and conflict were less under female leadership. The human history has been violence and conflict-stricken since the beginning of the human existence. If we look back in history or to the world around us, we see wars, conflict, power struggles and revolutions, peacemaking kings, prudent emperors, and ruthless rulers. History also reveals that society has always been predominantly male-dominated, with leaders and rulers mainly being men. It is, hence, easy to blame the ruler and put the responsibility of atrocities on the shoulders of men. But a deeper perspective always reveals to historians that conflict is a generic tendency of humans. So peace being disturbed is not the liability of men only, but humans in general, and a power shift, from men to women, is destined to be futile in prevailing peace. Most of the women who are known to be great till date, e.g. Queen Isabella of Spain, Queen Mary, aka Bloody Mary, Victoria, and Elizabeth of Britain, all have ruled over a vast spectrum of power. and they often have done so ruthlessly, achieving goals with an iron hand. They have waged wars that are barely comparable to only a few of those devised by men. These women are not anomalies of history, but examples from numerous others, who went beyond the boundaries of gender in the path of prevailing in power while expanding peace whenever they deemed it to be expandable. The two greatest wars of modern history, World Wars I and II, have taught us that wars are impersonal. Race, religion, nationality, sex are only pretenses to the universally human lust for power. It is true that during both the global conflicts men were in the rulers' thrones. But it will be foolish to say that Margaret Thatcher, the famed Iron Lady who spared no road against a minnow enemy in the War of Falkland, would be more peacefully diplomatic than how the greats Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt had been tackling the axis of Hitler. The gender issue is only a determinant in the battle of the sexes, not the battles among nations and peoples. It is therefore impertinent, if not irrational, to conclude that world conflicts result from the rule of a particular gender and the finer sex would do a better job at prevailing peace if selectively put at the helm of human nations. Model answer 2. In favor of the argument that violence and conflict were less under female leadership. Though some people argue that war and conflicts among nations and within a territory are impersonal regardless of men and women leaders, the history suggests that world saw less violence, war and conflicts under female leaders. Considering this in mind, I suggest the idea that female leadership can be considered for a better world. The major world wars, conflicts among nations, civil wars mostly caused by the male ego, assassinations and conflicts of interests among men. Very few female leaders contributed making decisions to have war with other nations in their period of ruling a country. Sometimes people often mention the Trojan War and convict a female as the main reason for this war. But the fact is, it is not even a historically approved war and its root lies more in mythology than in evidence. And even if it was true, female leaders were not even remotely involved deciding to start the war. Though the number of male rulers throughout the history is much more compared to the number of female leaders, and very few major wars could be related to the decision or action taken by women. Women are naturally mild-hearted and avoid conflicts and wars by all means. They are more caring and less violent by their prototypes, and that makes them better leaders in terms of serving people. The leader who is caring and has the mentality to serve people would naturally be a good leader, and women are better candidates than men in this regards. In summary, the idea of female leadership in terms of avoiding wars and serving nations better is indeed a good idea. Model answer 3. Neutral notion. Certain people think that violence and conflict were more evident under male leadership than under female leadership since the dawn of the time. Throughout the history, male leadership encourages violence, and some other sets of people suggest considering female leadership to prevail peace. The issue whether or not female leadership can be considered as a better option to prevail peace is always a debatable issue. There are strong arguments from both the sides, and let us discuss in a detailed way. Firstly, world history clearly suggests violence were more evident under male leadership. An instance illustrating this in action is First and Second World Wars. Male leadership encouraged violence in those two world wars, and it is proved that violence is more evident under male leadership. In addition to this, women are against violence by nature and suffer a lot because of the violence, thus the women leadership always try to prevail peace. For example, some Asian countries tried to restore the peace during women leadership. It is obvious from this that women leadership can be considered to bring back the peace. There is always an opposite side of the coin. Certain women leadership proved that they are ready to encourage violence. To illustrate this, Pakistan started a war during women leadership, and it clearly proves that peace cannot be restored by changing leadership. In addition to this, Bangladesh also saw a great deal of internal violence during women leadership only. It is clearly proved that violence can be evident under women leadership also. Thus it is recommended to prevail peace in all circumstances irrespective of women or men leadership. Peace can prevail in many ways, and consider female leadership as only one of those options. Model answer 4. Neutral notion. If we delved through the major historical archives, it would be noticeable that many wars and conflict occurred under a male leadership. This observation led to some analysts to favoring a female leadership in order to maintain peace and harmony. This approach purporting leadership based on gender to attain peace seemed flawed and simplistic. Instead, it would appear that leadership should be chosen based on democracy and the most qualified leader for the job. On the one hand, supporters for female leadership cite the numerous wars and conflicts under male leadership such as Adolf Hitler or Benito Mussolini. However, it can also be argued that a significant number of atrocities had likewise occurred under female leaders such as Queen Elizabeth during the Iron Age. Additionally, those who support females' leadership may quote their innate nurturing and non-aggressive characteristics as opposed to men's innate aggressiveness. Similarly, this would seem an inaccurate statement as observed in the aforementioned argument. On balance, it would be more sensible to elect a leader based on democracy and his/her qualifications. Firstly, a nation's citizens should ideally be endowed a right to vote for a leader out of their own free will. Additionally, the most qualified person for the leadership may be another useful criterion. This characteristic may range from their previous experience as leaders, favorable leadership qualities and innate morale. Secondly, we all have to acknowledge the metamorphosis of gender's role. It may be that more violence was suffered under male leadership because fewer females were allowed in that role. To summarize, it would appear that the approach to claim that peace would prevail under female leaders is rather simplistic. Ultimately, what would seem more crucial is for the most qualified person irrespective of gender should be chosen by citizens out of their own free will. Model answer 5. Over the time, history has proved that male leadership shows some violence and conflict, while female leadership spreads peace. I agree that male performs more toughness than female in many aspects, especially in leadership, although there are always some odds that break the rules. It is well known that men are stronger and tougher than women. Maybe this returns back to his body's physiological structure, referring to his corporal side, hormones or even his nature that he was created on the superior shape by God, where each gender mostly shares many common desires. Although men's violent control, Hitler for example, but recent research studies revealed that 2/3 of the male's brain are mentally described and last third refers to the emotional part in his brain, while the female's brain shows 2/3 of emotions and the other is mental. So, this result leads us to vote positively for men leadership. In addition, we can see that man can stand for hard times and attend in violent moments easier than women without losing control of himself. And this is an important requirement for a good leader. Unlike male, the female is more sensational and caters for perfect output. They are better in house leading, as they are used to considering small details. The woman in the house embodies the meaning of residence where each member gets rest and live peacefully. They can get all their pains cured in moments. And that is an essential need that humans seek all the time through their life. But this does not mean that the woman is unable to succeed in leadership. We can see clearly the obvious example of Queen Elizabeth, and how could she change the country she judges into a better state? Her people love her and can live happy and safe under control. The truth about most of the women that they tend to calmness and peace could qualify her to lead complex organizations and countries even more than men. Finally, we conclude that whoever male or female is in a leader position, however, all always search for freedom, happiness and peacefulness, and anyone can be a leader only if he or she owns leadership skills and humanity. Model answer 6. History portrays that reign of war and chaos was on the rise under male rulers compared to their counterparts. Now in reality, does this imply that female leaders are more favorable candidates for nonviolent governance? In my opinion, it would be irrational to globalize this, and crowning of leaders should not on gender biased. The mighty rulers of the past were predominantly males. History of conflicts and chaos during their time deceive that they possessed an innate quest to conquer the world. The great King Alexander and Hitler exemplify this. But the matter of fact is a deeper interpretation of historical facts reveals that this was the need and situation of that time. The global scenario at that age persuaded the rulers to war and conquer. Another fact would be the conflicts were not less in feminine ruler era too. The great ruler of Jhansi from Indian scripts would serve an example. However, the 19th century has witnessed more organized and determined leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. They exemplify the unfairness in relating male rulers to violence on a global perspective. In the present day, where public involvement is emphasized while choosing a leader, the criteria set forward by an educated mass will never be gender biased. Instead, they look forward to more sensible leaders. In spite of being under the feminine leadership, India did not address to any changes in its war protocols in last few years. Similar is the situation in another Asian country of Bangladesh. Though our history canvass male rulers as a source of carnage in the time of antiquity, it would be rather dogmatic to conclude that violence and conflicts are gender bias. Some of the examples mentioned above would serve the evident. I would opine that for peace to prevail, sensible leaders should be crowned irrespective of their gender differences. Model answer 7. The world has experienced many terrors and wars where there are many victims who suffered by the use of a deadly weapon or a political decision taken by a leader. Some people believe that those conflicts were mainly caused by male leaders who used their power and greed to attack other nations. Female leadership, according to many, could be an alternative option to prevail peace in the world, as female leadership in history suggests less war and conflicts among nations and countrymen. I do not agree with this notion based on several reasons. Firstly, wars in history are not about gender, but about political decisions. In many countries in this world, war becomes the last option to grasp in case negotiation diplomacy fails to cover national interest. For example, in World War II, Germany and the US failed to negotiate their national interest. War as a consequence was imminent. War is not about gender perspective, but a rational choice that forces leadership to take action. Furthermore, there is no solid evidence that female leadership would bring peace over the world. Some people believe that male makes decisions with their logic and females with their heart, but there is no exact fact to prove this argument. While some female leadership, for example, Margaret Thatcher, known as Iron Lady, because of her rigid way of ruling the country. Conflicts and political deaths in many South Asian countries like India and Bangladesh under female leadership also shows how people have overgeneralized that a female could bring a better world and peace. Thus, the idea about female leadership better than male leadership is not justified enough to change the status quo. To sum up, many people believe that the male leaders are prone to abuse their power to make war and violence, while female ruling could bring world peace. Only a few women leaders actually ruled the world compared to the overwhelming numbers of male rulers in history, and that's how this opinion got biased. Their opinion is not proved, and I believe this current situation is not because of the gender issue, but for political rational choices. Model answer 8. Disagreement. Denied the fact that violence and conflict were less under female leadership. The world's history is full of conflicts and wars, and most of them were led by male leaders. Considering this, a school of thought suggests that women leadership could be a great solution to establish peace in the world, while another group of thought opposes that idea. I strongly believe that it is not the gender of a leader that determines the peace. In fact, this has nothing to do to bring order in the world, but honest and prudent leaders with required attributes, irrespective of gender, will harness peace. There are a number of examples in recent history that show that violence actually increased under female leaders. For example, the wave of unrest in Indian-administered Kashmir is contributing to a great loss of human life, and it's being ruled by a female chief minister, Mrs. Mufti. Similarly, the latest streak of killings and stabbings of writers and foreigners in Bangladesh is known to the world, and Bangladesh's prime minister is a female, Sheikh Hasina. There are several shreds of evidence of mass killings of religious minorities in Burma, and the leader of this state is also a female. So history might suggest that many wars and killings occurred under the male rulers, but we cannot generalize and tag this with male gender only. More than 95% leaders in the world history were males, so wars and conflicts were mostly attributed to them. We cannot guarantee that if we had more than 95% female leaders instead of male, there would have no conflict and unrest. Recent evidence under female leadership does not advocate for that at all. On the other hand, to stop brutalities, injustice and unrest all around the world and to infuse peace in the world, we need leaders with strong leadership ability and greater qualities. Furthermore, leaders should take ownership of all the wrongdoings and shortfall in the system and take decisions to rectify them. Leaders should understand that peace will be achieved with giving strength to people by establishing fair socio-economic balance. Delivering the young generation quality education, healthcare service, economic security, social facilities are important for the government to build a peaceful and self-reliant generation. To conclude, Leaders should be charismatic and possess an exemplary personality to influence the youth and inspire them to go out and dedicate for the well-being of the society. Interestingly, both male and female leaders should do that, and being a female leader would not provide any competitive advantage to establish the peace. Strong traits of leadership will ensure peace and justice to prevail. Gender-specific leadership will not guarantee world order. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. Cricket has become more popular than the national sports in the subcontinental countries. What do you think are the reasons behind this? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. You should write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Cricket, traditionally an English sport, is becoming increasingly popular in other parts of the world like Australia, South Africa, Indian continents, etc. But the popularity is evidently the highest among the countries of the Indo-Pak subcontinent, for reasons that are historical, anthropological, geographical, and even commercial. There are more than 200 crore audiences of cricket only in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, and they are certainly the highest part of cricket fans than another part of the world. The game of cricket came to South Asia in the hands of the English colonists centuries ago and has seeped into the hearts of the people here, while the cricketers of here have won over the hearts of the English. This intercontinental love affair perhaps has made the South Asians elope with the bat and ball from their national and ethnic sports. Also, World Cup wins in the 80s and 90s, and phenomenal performers like Hanif Muhammad of the 50s and Sachin Tendulkar of late, all have made cricket more psychologically ethnic than the native sports of this region. Mother Nature had her hand in it too. Cricket is compared with religion in the country like India. Even when the war and conflicts hot the air of India and Pakistan, the stadium tied the friendship these two countries. Some opine that South Asians are natural cricketers. It has indeed been proven that the subcontinent players are more adaptive to the physiological demands of cricket compared to how they get naturalized to other international sports, e.g. football, basketball, etc. Also, the climatic conditions here are relatively more suitable for playing cricket compared to the climates of many other parts of the globe. Not to forget, the virtually uncountable population of this region that continually fuels the ever-sprouting 11-member teams needed to stage only half of a cricket game and supplies the hundreds of millions of spectators to cheer the players. Altogether, it is like a match made in heaven, divine, enough to surpass any hereditary bond. Commerce plays its own amazingly profitable part too. Cricket enthusiasts of here have become the primary consumer base of many global enterprises who mass charm the subcontinent customers through extravagantly sponsored tournaments. ICC, the governing body of world cricket, also cajoles the people here because of their financial utility and cosets them from their sporting heredity. The national sport of the Indian subcontinent is only official, and in practice, they are not popular at all. The kids play cricket in the fields, streets, rain harvesting fields, and even in the terrace of the building. They show a little interest in other national sports, and thus how the appeal of those games are reducing. Regardless of where it came from, the most certain conclusion to be made here is that cricket is to stay and sustain in the nourishment of the South Asian pandemonium and will indefinitely reign over the people here like the God-sent hero who conquers not only the matter but also the nativity. Model Answer 2. Cricket, without any double, is the most popular game in subcontinent countries like India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, and this popularity is so bulging that many nations in this part of the world know better about cricket than they do about their national games. Strange it might seem, but it is a fact that less than 10% people are interested in their national game, while more than 90% people consider cricket as their passion in those countries. There are several reasons for that, and among them historical, anthropological, colonial, political, commercial and geographical reasons are most substantial reasons for this. Cricket was introduced to this subcontinent by the English, and because of their colonies in this part of the Asia, people politically got interested in this game. Like many other things that people adopted from the English, cricket was no exception. Later this became a popular game because people easily accepted it as an exciting sport and started participating in this game. Because of geographical reason, people started doing better in this game and they found them to be good at a sport which is widely accepted. More than 180 crore people inhabit in this part of the world, and that made it a commercially hot spot for spreading the game, and ICC found it to be a great part in increasing the popularity of the game. Among the 10 test-playing nations, 4 nations are from this subcontinent, and it is natural that people would prefer a game that they participate in World Cup level. Apart from the political, commercial and colonial reason, people of this part are naturally good at this sport, and the world has seen many great players who came from this part. The mass media also contributed in making this game popular, and there are several sports channels in this region that exclusively broadcast cricket all day long. It is inevitable that people would participate in sports that they are good at, which they enjoy and have international renown, and that's why the national and traditional games, which are scarcely known to the rest of the world, have lost their popularity, while the cricket has acclaimed its own rights to the people of this subcontinent area. Model answer 3. There is a very famous adage in India: if cricket is a religion, then Sachin is the god. That is a statue of a cricketer in India. Admittedly, cricket is more popular than the national sports in the subcontinent, be it India, Pakistan or Sri Lanka. Almost the entire subcontinent came to a standstill in April 2011 during the India and Sri Lanka World Cup final match. High TRPs of TV channels during the cricket season are evident. I think the main reason for the popularity of this sport is the good performance of the team. All the subcontinent teams are among the top playing teams and have won the World Cup at least once, except Bangladesh. Prior to India winning the 1983 World Cup, hockey was more famous as India's hockey team performed well, and after winning the World Cup, people started following cricket too, and since then owning a good performance, cricket became popular in India. People would hate to see their team losing all the time and would stop following the game. Many subcontinent players are among the best in the world and have several records in their kitty. For instance, when we go to foreign country and people ask, "Where are you from?" When I say, "India," their first reaction is, "Oh, that's where Sachin is from." That instantly makes me proud. Another reason for popularity is, cricketers get more media attention, and they get good endorsements and are constantly in public eyes. As compared to other sportsmen, cricketer earns better and has a high standard of living. Everyone wants to become a professional cricket player and get all the benefits that they receive. In earlier days, if you are not part of an international team, your career is finished. Earlier opportunities were very less, but now with the IPL, many players are getting chances to play in front of a large crowd and show their talent. With the increase in opportunities, even parents are now encouraging their children to take cricket as their full-time career. This leads to better engagement of people towards the game. In a nutshell, I think, people will love any sport, if it entertains them, make them feel proud. Model answer 4. Cricket is a gentleman's game and it originated in the United Kingdom. Although it is England's national game, people here in India and from other subcontinent countries like Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh follow this sport from the core of their hearts. How valued is this sport in the subcontinent when compared to the national sport can be ascertained from a recent newspaper article where a contrasting comparison is being done among the prize money received by the man of the match of a cricket match and a hockey match. The difference is humongous: 5 lakh rupees in the case of cricket and a meager sum of 20,000 rupees for the national sport. The popularity of cricket in the subcontinent can be linked to the team's performance in this sport. Apart from this sport, subcontinent teams do not have any presence in the world arena. For instance, popular sports like football, basketball, golf and even hockey, which are our national sport, but we haven't won a World Cup ever since the legendary Mr. Dhyan Chand has left this sport. So fans tend to support their team only when the team is performing well, where they can have their idols to imitate. The second reason I can make out pertains to a distant past when the British ruled the subcontinent for around 200 years. At that point of time, the subcontinent didn't have its own identity. We have taken a lot of inspiration from that era, e.g. our legal system, infrastructure design and even the sport of cricket. Even in those days the British used to play cricket. It was then considered a sport of elite class, and from there people from the subcontinent developed a liking of this sport. Even though after the Declaration of Independence, India adopted its own constitution, laws, but the influence of the British era is quite evidently visible. And the same is true for our national game as well. We declared hockey as our national sports, but citizens of our country still have an inclination toward cricket more than any other sports. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary.
Question. To solve the ever-increasing environmental hazards throughout the world, the best way is to increase the price of fuel. What is your opinion on the above assumption? You should write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Disagreement. It is true that skyrocketing the fuel price can make a nosedive on the use of vehicles in many cities, but curtailing the volume of energy we utilize is not an elixir, as it would soar the daily living expense as well. Hence, the human being ought to scout out renewable energy in an attempt to halt the tide of environment upheaval. To begin with, protecting the environment only through the buoyant price of energy sounds somewhat over-optimistic. Developing other environment-friendly forms of momentum, such as hydrogen, which is the most potent weapon to deal with this murky water, is a far better solution. Despite the exorbitant price of fossil fuel, there is still a kaleidoscope of transportation that will need it. And by extension, airplane would be a concrete example. Although the usage of these kinds of gigantic transportations is bound to dwindle, it is undeniable that they still emit a sheer amount of carbon dioxide. Therefore, diving deeply into the domain of substitute energy can be served as a luminary that closes Pandora's box. Besides the renewable energy and the colossal fuel price, rearing a myriad of flora can usher in a great preponderance. What renders an easy access to oxygen is the vegetation, which would absorb carbon dioxide, the most malignant element to our environment. In this dimension, revive the biodiversity seems as important as importance can be. Shielding the rainforest from deforestation and planting a broad spectrum of trees that spanning from alpines to bush on the major boulevards can truly breathe life into the urban sprawl. Most importantly, it could thoroughly eradicate the environment ailments. With all that, it is reasonable to extrapolate that spurting the fuel prices can be described as a blunt instrument. Nevertheless, impeding a wide range of anthropogenic activities and cementing the cornerstone of ecosystem might be much more possible and practical to tackle with this elusive enigma. Model Answer 2. Agreement. Environmental or natural hazards are the results of physical processes that affect humans and environment every day and harmful for both in the short and long run. As the use of fuel increases to keep up with modern demands and increased population, the world is becoming more vulnerable to environmental hazards and disasters. Floods, earthquakes, severe thunderstorms, toxic or oil spills immediately come to mind when comprehending this issue, implying that all these things are inherently hazardous. One of the most effective solutions to these environmental hazards is to raise the price of fuel. The use of petroleum and gasoline can release toxic chemicals into our atmosphere. These chemicals escape into the air during refilling, from the gasoline tank and carburetor during normal operation, and from engine exhaust. Transportation sources account for about 30 to 50% of all harmful emissions into the atmosphere. The industrialization is another reason for the omission of harmful chemicals too. Smog is another environmental hazard. It causes human respiratory stress, and damages many plants, significantly reducing farm crop yields and the health of trees and other vegetation. Burning gasoline emits significant quantities of a wide range of harmful gases into the atmosphere. For example, carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas produced by incomplete combustion. Carbon dioxide, a normal product of burning fuel, is non-toxic but contributes to the greenhouse effect, which is also known as global warming, and it is probably the most dangerous threat to the human existence. Raising the price of fuel would mean that people would use less petroleum and gasoline. They would find other alternative means of transport to save money, which would mean using less high-priced fuel for everyday purposes. For example, cycling is a healthy activity and it saves the earth too. Also, for a long journey, people could try to find friends together for carpooling. Carpooling saves a lot of fuel and would save a lot of money too. But other things should be considered to reduce the use of these dangerous fuels. A government should implement strict rules of using cars, for instance no less than 4 persons should be allowed to drive a single car. The price should be increased in a thoughtful way because if the price is so high it will hamper the average people's life leading. There are so many people yet use public transportation for movement and the increased price will make their life miserable. The prices of many necessary daily ingredients also increase with the price of the fuel. Many environmental hazards like smog and global warming are increasing around the world due to the excessive use of petroleum and gasoline in our daily lives. Raising the price of fuel could make all the difference to the environment. It would force people to use petrol in a more responsible way and use it less, and therefore be the most effective solution to the problem of ever-increasing environmental hazards, though it might have some side effects, but those can be controlled by the proper initiatives by the government. Model answer 3, disagreement. There are several reasons that are causing the environmental harms and this has become an urgent issue to discuss and bring a solution about. The number of ever-increasing cars is one of the reasons that leads to affect the environment negatively, and there are some assumptions that increasing the fuel price would solve this problem. But the reality would be different. An increased fuel price will cause lots of other problems while it would contribute very little to reduce the environmental pollutions and hazards. So this can't be the best solution in any way. First of all, the maximum numbers of cars are owned by the rich people and fuel price would not restrain them from using the cars. The price of fuel, in fact, increased significantly over the past 12 years and that has done nothing to reduce the car usages. On the contrary, the number of cars running on the roads has increased more than expected. Besides, the fuel price determines the market prices of other daily necessary products and increasing the price would only bring misery to the low and medium earning class population. Electronic wastages, industries, household electrical devices, deforestation, chemical wastages, unthoughtful activities of people are causing more damage to the Mother Earth than the gas emission by the cars. We should focus on those aspects as well before increasing the price of fuel just based on an assumption. The main idea of increasing the fuel price is to reduce the number of cars running in the street and to restrain the car owners from using the cars less. But that would prove to be a ridiculous solution, especially when car owners are mostly high-earning class and they would not bother about the fuel price. The best solution to address this utmost concerning issue is to introduce an environment-friendly energy source like solar energy system, to improve the public transportation system and train system so that people mostly use these systems instead of always using their own cars, increasing the awareness of the people so that they do not directly contribute to harm the environment, and making strict rules so that deforestation, chemical wastages and other harmful ways of environmental pollutions get reduced. Model answer 4, disagreement. Increasing the price of oil is one of the main strategies elaborated in order to act against the worsening of habitat condition. Nonetheless, such a solution could be not enough to stop the phenomenon. The idea of raising prices of environmentally risky goods is not a recent hypothesis. It is named Pigovian tax, and it aims to reduce the use of such goods. It really affects consumption, balancing the advantage of using a certain product with the disadvantage of a growing cost to obtain it. Consequently, consumers tend to move toward less expensive goods. This tendency is advantageous because the state doesn't need to deal with enterprises. The loss of clients means a consequent interest in enterprises toward green energy. The market works as a stabilizer, more than an element damaging the environment. Therefore, this policy can be advantageous. On the other hand, disadvantages are more influential than positive effects. Firstly, the effectiveness of the Pigovian tax lies on the ability of actors in finding a good to be used as a substitute. What if a country invested many resources in road transport? What if a state can rely on massive oil reserves? In short, such a choice must consider both the existence of alternative sources and the historical industrial evolution of the country. Moreover, the importance of such an asset as the one of energy makes the use of incentives and changing in prices an unreliable and dangerous tool. It could create too many damages for an excessively unpredictable policy. All things considered, many doubts remain about the hypothesis of using prices as a lever to modify the way how people behave when dealing with energy and petrol. Some positive consequences are certainly undeniable, but risks are still higher than expected benefits. Consequently, betting on alternative solutions would be desirable. Model answer 5, disagreement. The requirement and consumption of fuel have increased manifolds to meet the demands of world population for industrial growth, power needs and transportation purposes etc. The demand for fuel is only going to increase in the coming years as projected and forecasted by the energy experts. Many governments are taking various measures to curb the demand for this commodity due to the heavy cost involved in import etc. While some people believe that increasing the cost of the fuel would save the environment from more damages, others opine that that would only create more misery for the poor people. Besides the financial constraints for many governments, a general but very important issue that needs to be addressed on war-footing basis is the environmental hazards associated with the massive use of this commodity that is not only harmful to the Mother Earth but also poses great dangers to the human health. These dangers include toxic effluent dumped into the sea which can destroy sea life, pollutants released in the air causing air pollution which can affect agriculture, ozone layer etc. Human beings can suffer problems from breathing to some life-threatening diseases as cancer etc. So what option do we have? Perhaps one of the options but not the best one is to increase the cost of fuel, which will have its own negative effects in the countries where poverty level and inflation is already high and the public miseries will increase. A better option might be to conserve the consumption of fuel by promoting energy conservation and creating a national policy suggesting various measures. I would like to end my subject on the note that each country has to prepare a line of action by keeping the interest of its people and economy in mind.
If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2, Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary.
Question. Safety standards are important when building people's homes. Who should be responsible for enforcing strict building codes, the government or the people who build the homes? Use your own knowledge and experience and support your arguments with examples and relevant evidence. You should write at least 250 words. Model answer 1, viewpoint, people and owners should be responsible for enforcing strict building codes. The population of the world is increasing and so does the needs for more houses, commercial buildings and other constructions are escalating as well. The high-rising buildings constructions, woodhouse constructions etc. require more safety and standard issues while this is being violated often and accidents related to building constructions are increasing. Some people opine that government is solely responsible to ensuring the safety and codes while others believe that house owners are the persons who should be responsible. In my opinion, a government has a role in setting the rules and following it, but it's the owners and authority of the building owners who should ensure the standard and safety while constructing the houses and commercial buildings. First of all, it is out of the scope for the government to appoint necessary manpower and monitoring system in every place where the construction works would occur. Before building any house, people must take the permission from the authority and build the house accordingly. But any accident occurs due to the lack of safety procedure, improper use of tools and materials, unskilled labor, unnecessary rush would be because of the owner's failure to comply the codes. The workers, who work for contractions, including the architect, engineer and labor, should know the safety rules and codes and also should protest when they believe that a rule might have been violated and ignored. The laborers should never assent to work in a position which is harmful and risky for them. The engineers should maintain the strict rules instead of blindly following the construction owner's order, and the local authority should time to time monitor the constructions to avoid the hazards. In conclusion, the government does not have the necessary scope to monitor each and every construction in a country, and the house owners must know the safety procedures, standards and rules to make sure the safety. Model answer 2, viewpoint. Government should be responsible for enforcing strict building codes. People or commercial constructors build homes for private dwelling or for commercial uses, and the number is increasing rapidly as the demand for new buildings is increasing. In all cases of building a new construction, safety of dwelling is important. It is homemakers or contractors' responsibility to build houses complying with standard engineering requirements and building codes set by the respective governments. I believe that the government should always be there to strictly enforce building codes, and in the case of non-compliance authorities should take punitive measures. Enforcement of the law is government's responsibility. Since non-compliance can not only cause hazards to the homeowners, but also to tenants, and if in a cooperative or apartment, many co-owners may suffer. The building codes are regulatory requirements concerning safety and quality of the construction, use of space and others. For example, in an earthquake-prone area, the buildings should not be very high and the design and structure must have higher earthquake resistance. Big houses and long buildings, i.e. academic departments, hotels and hostels, require dilatation every 15 to 20 meters so that in a heavy earthquake, only part of a building collapses, not the whole. Moreover, the quality of the materials used in construction and electric wiring, and the gas connection should pass minimum safety standards. Adequate entry and exit facilities and emergency exist. Fire extinguishers are also very important in establishments like factories, hall rooms, discos, party centers. In cases of a wooden house, wood must be coated with fire-resistant paint. In large apartments, office buildings, hall rooms and lobbies of hotels, fire barriers made of rubber and steel are used to prevent the spreading of fire. Similarly, in areas of frequent hailstorms, skylights must not be used, and if so, must be protected by steel shutters. Many constructors often tend to ignore the minimum safety requirements to minimize costs which jeopardize people's life. Many private homemakers do not know details of these standards and precautions. It is the responsibility of the government to disseminate such essential knowledge and monitor the compliance of builders, developers and makers of houses. However, the builders cannot avoid their responsibility anyway. In conclusion, in this modern world, the government is ultimately responsible for its entire citizens' safety and good life. It is also the government's responsibility to enforce strict building code. If the negligence of any government agency jeopardizes people's life, the government will be held responsible. Model Answer 3, Viewpoint: both government and people should be careful and responsible. People aspire to build their homes to suit their tastes as well as that of their family. While several houses are constructed on a regular basis, there have been questions on the safety standards adopted in such constructions, thus endangering not only the lives of homeowners but also of those in the neighborhood and the society at large. While some people opine that the responsibility of ensuring a quality construction lies with the owners, there are others who believe that the onus lies with the government. This essay will discuss both points of view. To begin, houses that are being constructed by those in the lower income groups do look at the most cost-effective option. In the process, they invariably explore cheaper options that include a compromise on material and construction quality. This ultimately leads to a house construction that is inferior and might not comply with even the basic safety standards. For example, there are several instances where even a moderate amount of rainfall has led to the houses getting washed away. There are also cases where minor tremors have led to the collapse of the entire building. Further, compromising on the quality of electrical wiring can lead to short circuit and hence a fire that can affect not just the house owner, but can lead to severe loss of lives and property in the entire neighborhood. In my opinion, the solution to the problem lies with having a regulatory body to monitor the quality of building constructions. The regulatory body should be under the government. The safety standards and the minimum specification of materials that can be used in any house constructions need to be clearly defined. This should include essential parameters such as foundation strength, structure strength, electrical wiring specification, water-resistant material, etc. Further, at various stages of construction, the owner needs to approach the authority for approval. Upon such requests, the authority needs to carry random audits before approval. This would not only put a system in place but also serves as a deterrent to house owners who intend to compromise on construction quality. In conclusion, while the quality of house constructions at present pose a grave danger to the society, there is certainly an opportunity in this challenge, to put forth a system that would be robust and go a long way in ensuring that building constructions of the future adhere to the specified standards and are completely safe to both the owners as well as the society at large.
Model Answer 4, Viewpoint: both government and people should be careful and responsible. Home is essential for every living organism. Humans build their own houses with highly innovative and much more expensively. Home is to protect us from bad weather, for relaxation, for privacy and to fulfill their personal needs. Nowadays, people are building their own homes with or without consulting proper technicians and responsible bodies. Maintaining safety standards while building homes is an issue for which both government and people should be responsible about. For an example, a person could buy a piece of land in Sri Lanka, and whether this land is suitable to construct a house should be certified by the relevant authority such as National Building Research Organization. Their experiment only knows whether there is a stream going underneath of the ground, and the steepness is enough to build a house, or soil properties are better to build big houses. This consultation should be given by the government bodies. At the same time, people need to seek relevant government organization prior to constructing their own buildings. These all need to be done at the time of planning and not at the time of constructing. Enforcing people to obey the rules of the building construction is to be announced by the government. But, when the people do not follow these rules, they should be punished by the government. But under the same government bodies, there are some government officials who escape the rules for bribes. This should be strictly and immediately stopped. Even though government brought strict codes to construct homes, people who build need to follow these rules. This is the responsibility of the people and not the government. Only a few people consult government organization for selecting the land, planning, and constructing the homes. Others do not do this. An example of that can be cited as getting divisional secretariat's approval prior to the construct of the buildings is a must, and people should maintain that, keeping their own safety in mind. There is a limitation for constructing a house from the edge of the water stream or railway road, and that's something both parties should maintain. If that person consults relevant government body only, they will inform about the conditions. Without consulting, many have constructed near the water stream in plantation sector of Nuwara Eliya district. But they all flooded in the year 2013 due to the heavy rain. Many have replaced their houses and even locations after that. Therefore, safety measures should be given by the government, and at the same time, this should be followed by the people who build their own homes, due to their own safety. Model answer 5. Having a roof to cover yourself is one of the basic human needs, and being safe and secure is the feeling that drives the urge to get a home. So people who are getting a home built are concerned about the safety, though they might not be aware of all the standards which keep a check on this aspect of building homes. Now the question arises, is it the people or the government who has the sole responsibility of ensuring the standards are followed? As far as my point of view goes, it's the responsibility of all the persons by any means related to this activity, be it the authorities approving plans, the builder or the owner itself. Everyone should act as a checkpoint and should perform his duty with due diligence. The government has a very critical role to play here. The whole setup was defined by the government, and they have the responsibility to incorporate the best possible standards for safety. For this, they can take inspiration from the Western countries that put a high stake in quality being promised and delivered when it comes to safety standards for building safe homes. And these rules need to be consistent across Pan-India, and there should be scope for customization depending upon the region. For instance, in areas such as Bhopal, which are prone to earthquakes more than any other region in India, you can have specific rules defined to ensure a stronger base to resist against any such calamity. And not only its development but spreading awareness and stringent checks needed to be employed to ensure the standards were followed. Apart from the government, the onus also lies onto the builder, to whom a trust is placed by the owner of the house to deliver what was promised. Generally, the person who wants to have his home built wants the same to be the safest and rather keen to spend extra bucks to ensure the safety of his house. But it is quite obvious that he might not be having the technical nitty-gritty of the trade. So he entrusts the builder to do the job for him, and it is the builder's utmost priority to ensure this trust won't be breached. To summarize, primarily it's the responsibility of the government authorities to ensure stricter building codes, but every other person involved in this should be held guilty had the standards not confirmed with. And it is always advisable to the owner as well to keep himself updated with all the requirements of safety standards and to keep a check on the builder, because it is better to be safe than sorry. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 score model essay with advanced vocabulary. Question. Many office authorities impose a restriction on smoking within the office premises. Some governments have even banned smoking in all public places. This is a good idea, but it takes away some of our freedom. What are your opinions on this? Use your own knowledge and experience and support your arguments with examples and relevant evidence. You should write at least 250 words. Model answer 1. Agreement. Smoking should be banned in office premises and public places. There is no scope of argument that cigarette smoking is harmful both for the smoker and people around him/her. Cigarette smoking has two major effects on non-smokers: injurious passive smoking and smoking display that has an invitational or persuasive effect on non-smokers. I believe banning smoking in public places and offices not only will discourage smoking but will also keep the smoking practice out of sight, though it might apparently look like transgress into smokers' freedom. But I believe any harmful activity of a particular person or group of people cannot be a definition of freedom. If smoking right in any place is a definition of freedom, then why not other drugs? In my opinion, every public place including office must be smoking free. There are several reasons that government and private authorities are being strict on smoking in offices and even public places. Firstly, this is an accepted fact that smoking is injurious and deadly to health in several ways. Secondly, smoking causes health hazards to non-smokers who inhale smoke passively from the smokers. Thirdly, smoking has a strong psychological influence on others, particularly on children and young who learns from their elderly. Fourthly, in many countries, the cost of health care and insurance has gone up due to smoking-related illnesses. So health authorities and governments are trying to have been seen that due to the restrictions, the habit of smoking is on a decline among office goers. Though non-smokers think that restricting smoking in offices and public places is a good idea, smokers often view it as an intervention into their right. Smokers argue that cigarette smoking has a direct relation to their workplace performance, though passive smoking can cause objections from colleagues. But considering the harm of smoking, it should be banned. Though pressure groups such as tobacco companies may discourage restrictions on smoking, since the advantages of ban outweigh the disadvantages, mass public supports such bans. Moreover, offices have the right to regulate staff behavior and activities, and governments too can ban smoking in public places for a greater societal benefit. In conclusion, restricting smoking in workplaces and in public is a good idea. I can also understand the opinion of smokers that banning smoking in such places limits their work speed, but I believe with little practice and determination they can overcome it. So I strongly support the idea of prohibiting smoking in any public place including the office premises. Model answer 2. Disagreement. Smoking should not be banned in office premises and public places. Without any doubt, smoking is harmful to smokers, and the debate whether it should be banned in office premises and in public places comes in light mostly because it harms the passive smokers as well. But some consideration should be done before thoroughly banning it from the office premises and public places. In my opinion, there is no reason for the advocacy in favor of smoking, but totally banning it in office premises and public places would not be a good solution. First of all, if a government only bans the smoking in public places and allows the production, marketing and selling of cigarettes in the country, that points out a question: if the government at all wants to ban the cigarettes, why would not a government restrict the selling of cigars but would only refrain the smokers from having it? Rather, the government should ban this vile product in the whole country so that people no longer have the option to smoke. A smoker would naturally smoke as he gets addicted to the nicotine of a cigarette. Allowing them to purchase it and then not to smoke it is kind of a ridiculous idea. Secondly, many offices restrict smoking in office premises, and this is also a controversial idea. Why hire smokers when you have such a strict restriction on smoking? Rather, those offices should update their hiring policy and should not hire smokers as many educational and religious organizations do. Smoking in no way is acceptable, but restricting this only in office premises is in a way allowing the employees to go outside and harm some other people rather than the office staff. Instead of this, the offices can either arrange a separate smoking zone with proper ventilation facility or allow the smokers to smoke there, or should hire non-smokers. In conclusion, the cigarettes should be restricted in the production and sales level but not in the way of stealing people's freedom by restricting them in particular places while letting them easily purchase them. Where is the goodwill when a government freely allows the product, distribution and selling of tobacco and collects taxes from the tobacco companies and at the same time restricts smoking to show that they are doing well for people? Model answer 3. Use of tobacco products has become popular after the Industrial Revolution. Cigarettes are so cheaply available that people do not bother to think about it before lighting one in every minute. Society is engaged in very long debates, whether smoking should be banned completely in public places or not. Some argue that it would encroach on one's freedom, while others support this idea. I think smokers should be allowed to smoke only in designated areas away from the public. According to World Health Organization, smoking is the biggest cause of oral and lung cancer. Even secondhand smokers, people who inhale smoke releases by smokers, are equally prone to the disease. Therefore, looking at this risk, smokers and non-smokers should be segregated. In countries like the United States of America, designated smoking areas are built and smoking in public places is banned and fines are imposed if anyone is found using cigarettes in public places. While it may be easy to argue that banning smoking is intruding to one's freedom, but forcing one's smoke to other non-smokers is even a bigger crime. Advocates, who fight for the ban of smoking, ask that why should an innocent bystander suffer from the smoke released by smokers? Therefore, it can easily be concluded that banning smoking in public places is not attached to freedom, it is rather imposing the right of freedom. With the above points, in conclusion, it can be concluded that with alternative options for smoking locations made available, smoking can be banned at all public locations without creating any controversy. Model answer 4. Smoking is injurious to health, is a widely known advice, written on all the cigarette packets to continuously remind the smoker of the ill effects of smoking on health. Considering the health of smokers, governments and organizations are taking steps to limit people from smoking inside office premises. In my opinion, this is a good move by the authorities. However, some people argue that such initiatives will curb our freedom. Although our Constitution allows one to do whatever one wants to do, but if any of his actions involve impacting the health of others, then such rights need to be limited. Medical science has proved that smoking not only impacts the well-being of the person who is actively involved in smoking but also of the person passively inhaling the smoke. Despite the impact of smoking on the health of other people, some people think that prohibiting one from smoking in the place of his choice, governments and organizations are curbing the freedom of the people. This may sound true if thought in terms of the right to freedom, but if one morally considers the bad effect of smoking on the other people who do not even touch cigarettes, this no longer feels apt to exercise such rights. One must exercise his rights as long as it does not impact others. To summarize, smoking not only affects the health of active smokers but also degrades the immunity of passive smokers. Therefore, one must not smoke in places with the public. We must exercise our right only for the benefit of us as a whole. Further, the move for restricting smoking in public places should not be seen from the perspective of curbing freedom but must be supported for everybody's goods. Model answer 5. It is a fact that a lot of commercial offices have set strict regulations regarding smoking within the buildings. And even in some countries, governments have restricted their residents from smoking in public areas. Some people think that regulation is a positive thing, but others feel that it has taken away some of the human's rights. To begin with, it is true that restricting people from smoking in public places is an unfavorable regulation for smokers. In the perspective of smokers, the regulation has taken away some of their rights, whereas everyone has the right to do anything that individuals prefer to do, and one of them is to smoke in public areas. They believe that cigarettes would only be harmful to the smoker, and it would not have any negative effect on others. On the other hand, it is common that most office buildings are prohibiting their people from smoking inside the buildings. And many government authorities have been banning their citizens from smoking in public areas. These strict regulations have been set based on several reasons. Firstly, it is a fact that smoking causes a serious or fatal threat to the smokers themselves. There have been cases where active smokers have a heart attack or lung cancer due to smoking. Secondly, it is also proven that the smoke is also dangerous for the passive smokers. It has been reported that some women have had problems with their pregnancy due to inhaling the smoke. In conclusion, although it might seem to be unfair for the active smoker, but setting restriction on smoking in public and commercial areas is something positive. Smoking is not only threatening for the smokers, but it could also give a negative impact to the passive smokers as well. Model answer 6. Smoking is proven to be deleterious not only for the smokers, but it also puts the negative impact on passive smokers' health. The government has put the ban on smoking in the public places. However, many companies are adopting the similar footsteps and hence banning it in the offices. Apropos to this, I support what many governments and the office authorities have done. Though it might seem a violation of freedom to some extent, the positive aspects of banning free smoking are far greater, and hence this movement should be welcomed, according to me. There are numerous reasons why smoking should be restricted in the offices and in similar places where people meet or work together. To begin with, many non-smokers work in an office or gather in a train station, so the cigarette smoke is pernicious and irritating for them. Besides, if smoking is allowed inside the office or in public places like an auditorium, then the passive smokers will suffer from the same ailments as smokers will. Finally, an office is a hub of many professionals, and allowing smokers to smoke freely would be the violation of non-smokers' freedom in one hand and unprofessional in another hand. To continue it, employees spend most of their time in their workplaces, and if smoking is banned there, then willingly and unwillingly many of them will stop smoking. In the long run, it is going to give them the benefit, as they will understand that it is not such a hard nut to crack for them to quit smoking. In addition, it will also save the time which is spent for smoking by the employees. Instead, they will devote that time doing the office work. The same argument is valid for banning the smoking in the public places as well. Ultimately, the banning should be implemented to save the non-smokers, smokers, and the environment. However, another aspect of this statement also deserves the attention. To start with, as the people who are in the habit of smoking feel disturbed and interrupted on banning the smoking in the offices and other public places. They feel that it affects their performance, and thus they have the right to smoke as capable adults. I would like to opine that the banning should not be implemented all of a sudden, and the smokers should be given the chance to quit smoking before banning it in offices and in public places. In conclusion, not a single positive aspect of smoking is proven so far, while there are hundreds of detrimental effects that are already scientifically proven. Thus, banning something in public places which will bring benefits should be cordially welcomed. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. Nowadays, more and more foreign students are going to English-speaking countries to learn the international language, English. It is undoubtedly true that studying English in an English-speaking country is the best way, but it is not the only way to learn it. Do you agree or disagree with the above statement? You should write at least 250 words. Use your own knowledge and experience and support your arguments with examples and relevant evidence. Model answer 1. Agreement. It is not the only way to learn it. There is no debate that being in a real English language environment will help anyone to master the language in the fastest and most effective way, and many international students prefer to go to English-speaking countries to study and learn the international language. I agree that this is a good way, yet students can learn English in other useful ways, and those can be even better than the first approach. Being in an English-speaking country helps students learn English in many ways. Firstly, the surroundings and environment influence our learning. We are forced to speak, read, write, and slowly we start even thinking in English since we have to. Secondly, quick learning of the language can become a strong motivation because, in turn, we will get quick feedback that lets us find what we learn really benefits us in life and education. This inspires us to continue to learn more. It's a positive reinforcement learning builds on progressively. The initial learning serves as the basis for further learning. Thirdly, in an English-speaking country, you will be learning from the life and culture which is not present off that land. However, in this age of cross-culture communication and internet, learning English in an English-speaking country is not the only way. The English language learning opportunities are available in many countries. Nowadays people are able to find various ways of learning the English language in their home country that are highly effective and productive. Watching English movies, television, listening to English music and browsing the internet can open up a vast plethora of English materials. For instance, one can make use of the vast storage of materials, video, sound, graphics, etc. on the internet to facilitate language study. Sometimes non-English speaking students may need a different approach for learning English. The principle of different students, different teaching, by the famous saying by Chinese guru Confucius, maintains that different teaching approaches are useful for different segments of students. The way a foreign student learns a language is quite different from those of an English native speaker. For example, a foreign student's higher level, however, it is unnecessary for a native speaker. Last but not the least, on some occasions, students may find teachers in their own countries do a better job in figuring out their exact weak points and the remedies for them. A teacher of a non-English country understands the basics of a student and can combine both the native language and English to make the study plan, and this might be more helpful than a native English teacher's approach of studying. In conclusion, I believe studying English in an English-speaking country is a good way, but in many cases, the other ways can be proven to be more efficient than being in an English-speaking country. Model answer 2. Disagreement. It is the only best way to learn it. Language is a skill, and like any other skill, it can be best achieved through practicing. Being in an English-speaking country gives a competitive advantage of learning it faster and in a more efficient way than other ways, and that is why I consider learning English can be best achieved by being in an English-speaking country. Many people would argue that, if learning English is only possible by living in an English country, though there are lots of people who exist with really good English even when they have never been to an English-speaking country. Yes, it is true that proper study and determination to grasp the language can bring success to a person without living in a non-English speaking country, but there are some gaps yet. The amount of effort someone needs to put in learning the language would be much more compared to someone living in an English-speaking country. Firstly, being in an English-speaking country would make the learner communicate in this language all the time, and being in such a situation helps learn faster and more competently. They would learn the language through practical experiences, and that is more important than reading tomes of grammatical rules from textbooks. Second, the language is not merely how it is defined in the grammar books and how the words are spelt. Rather, it is a natural ability to express the feelings and thought to someone else in an effective way, and it is quite impossible to become a natural thinker of a language without actually being in an environment where this is the only language. Learning from experience is better than learning from text, and that makes an English-speaking country living person more competent than a non-English-speaking country living person in terms of the command of the language. When the first person communicates naturally and without any brainstorming, the later one would do that less accurately. Pronunciation and language style is very important in terms of communicating English, and that can be best learned from the native speakers of this language, and that's why being in an English-speaking country to learn the language is the best way. Because of this realization, thousands of people from different parts of the world are coming to English-speaking countries to learn the language. In conclusion, though a language can be learned through reading, practice and other good ways, being in a country where this language is the native language is the best way to learn it. Model answer 3. Agreement. It is not the only way to learn it. Living in the 21st century, there is no doubt that English is the most commonly used and important language for communication, education and career. Not surprisingly, a lot more foreign students are studying abroad in English-speaking countries to learn English, as many people believe that it is the best way to learn it. In my point of view, I agree that it is not the only way to learn English, and I will be explaining the reasons in the following paragraphs. To begin with, English can be learned anywhere by practicing more. People believe that studying in an English-speaking country is the best way. It is awfully correct simply because foreign students are forced to speak in English instead of their mother languages. There would be no people to communicate with if they speak in their own languages. If foreign students speak and practice more in English in their own countries with their friends and families, they can still be very fluent with native speaking skills. Furthermore, foreign students can learn English easily through the media. They could watch the BBC News and English drama without subtitles to enhance their listening skills. Foreign students can write down the frequently used words and phrases that they hear from the show or drama, and thereby learn more vocabularies. Moreover, they could read articles and blogs written by the BBC, as it is an institution that is trustworthy and has accurate and complex vocabularies. In conclusion, studying in an English-speaking country is not the only way to learn English and also is not always affordable for most families. There are a large variety of ways to learn it even if it is not an English-speaking country. Model answer 4. Agreement. It is not the only way to learn it. It is true that being in a real English environment will help anyone to become an expert at learning the English language as compared to learning the same language in a country where people do not have that language as their mother tongue. I agree that most of the people prefer to go to English-speaking countries, in order to learn different skills like learning the English language or to improve some other abilities. With the use of available technology and owing to the globalization of the world, it has become very convenient to learn any language while being present at home country. Despite the fact that home country does not have that language as its national language, but there are many language learning institutes available where people can join to learn different languages from the mentors. Those are highly qualified experts. These teachers might have acquired their capabilities from English-speaking countries to get the full exposure to the environment and being taught by such teachers who were having full command of that language. Therefore, as far as learning is concerned with language, it is possible to learn the language from any country, not necessarily being in an English-speaking country. For instance, in my country, there are many language centers available in which people not only learn to speak English but also these institutions cater to students with listening, reading, writing and provide guidelines for appropriate uses of grammar. Furthermore, many people would like to learn different skills like diploma courses. Some students want to get foreign degrees. They decide to go to the English-speaking countries for knowledge and awarding certificates. It is due to the reason that English is an international language and the majority of people wish to live in such a country where English is spoken by the residents to become part of the workforce or for job recruitment. In conclusion, it would be more convenient to learn the English language being physically present in an English-speaking country, but it could be possible enough to learn English being anywhere, from the centers where highly qualified tutors are available to learn language skills in the home country where some other language is predominantly used by people. Model answer 5. English is an international language that people should learn because it will help them to become a competitive professional not only in their own country but also in the world market. But there is no study and research that proves that the English language can be best learned in an English-speaking country, and therefore, I agree that this is not the only way to learn the language. There might be some advantages of learning the language while someone stays in an English-speaking country, but it does not guarantee that he will be able to use English better than those who have learned the language in non-English-speaking countries. Let me cite an example that proves this. In my country, the English language is integrated into our curriculum from elementary to the tertiary level. It is imperative for us to learn the language since it is also one of the communication tools that professionals use. In fact, they use the English language more often compared to our mother tongue, the Hindi or Punjabi language. Thus many of them have a greater command of the language even though they have never been to a foreign country, let alone an English-speaking country. I think the best way to learn the language is to start its introduction from childhood, and continually being exposed in learning the language until someone becomes fluent. It may be a skill, attitude or a language when being introduced to someone at a younger age has a better chance of learning it. Young children have the tendency to grasp things that they come across, especially since their minds are very inquisitive and have a faster learning ability. They gain the mastery of a certain language that they have learned in order to achieve self-actualization. Since it was inculcated earlier at a young age, there is a greater possibility of mastering the language as they go through using it in their everyday life. Compared to those migrating to English-speaking countries but does not have previous exposure to the language, they would still find it very hard to learn the language. In conclusion, I would like to say that learning English in an English-speaking country is not the only way to learn the language, as there are still some better ways to learn it. We may be surprised that there are those who can speak English more fluently than those who have learned the language in an English-speaking country. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary.
Question: do you support that nuclear technology should be used for constructive purposes? Use your own knowledge and experience and support your arguments with examples and relevant evidence. Give reasons for your viewpoint. You should write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Viewpoint: use of nuclear technology for constructive purposes can bring benefits for humans. Many people are afraid of nuclear technology because of the dangers associated with its use. And belligerent leaders and terrorists may cause great human disasters by the use of nuclear weapons of mass destruction. Though nuclear weapons indeed pose the greatest threat to life, I personally support the use of nuclear technology for constructive purposes that can bring human benefit. The most worrying aspect of nuclear technology is its use for military purposes by many high and mighty countries. Enough atomic bombs have already been made that are capable of completely destroying the planet. An increasing number of countries now have nuclear weapons or the technology required to make such bombs, and there is an ongoing debate about how to control the threat of nuclear weapons. After the fall of Russia, many Russian scientists have found their nuclear technology expertise is in high demand in countries that have an ambition with nuclear technology. Many believe that, at that time, technology had been secretly made available to many aspiring countries such as Iraq, North Korea, India, Pakistan, and others. Experts believe that nowadays, many confrontational countries and terrorist organizations have nuclear power, and they know how they could use this power for terrorism and mass destruction. However, it would have been better if it had never been used to create nuclear weapons. If life on Earth is to continue, we must control nuclear weapons of mass destruction. To eliminate the threat of nuclear war, all the nuclear power nations of the world should agree to disarm as soon as possible. Nuclear power stations provide an important source of cheap power in many industrialized nations and some developing countries. However, like most sophisticated technology, there are dangers associated with it. Even though very high safety precautions are taken, there have been few cases of disasters. 2 or 3 were major human disasters. Yet many experts believe that in the coming days, nuclear power will be the most efficient source of energy for mankind. Nuclear technology has been widely used in medical science. X-rays are widely used technology for medical diagnosis. Radiotherapy is widely used to help cure some diseases, such as cancer. Controlled and measured radiation is applied to malignant cancerous cells to kill them or stop their spreading. In conclusion, nuclear technology certainly has many positive uses and offers lots of promise. But we have to bear in mind that it is dangerous if not handled properly or goes to the wrong hands. Nuclear technology should be only used for the true benefit of mankind. If we forget this, we have to take the responsibility of our destiny. Model Answer 2. Viewpoint: nuclear technology should be used positively for the benefit of the human. Like any other technological invention, nuclear power has great potential to be used positively for the betterment of the people, and at the same time, it can cause disaster if used negatively. So the use of nuclear technology and its possible destructive power is an issue that is much debated, and in my opinion, we should use this power positively for the benefit of the human. First of all, the technology contains power, and this power can be both positively and harmfully used. Nothing is wrong with the technology or tool but with the people who actually command it. We can't think of modern life without the use of cell phones, TVs, refrigerators, etc., and are they not causing harm to the environment? Yes, they are, and a single gas cylinder can be used to cook foods and then feed people or run vehicles and, on the contrary, can be used to blow up a house. Only because the gas has the power to blow a house does not abstain us from using it for our benefits. Second, most of the countries in the world, except for a few rich countries, struggle for electricity and similar energy powers and can't improve because of the scarcity of it. Nuclear power can be a great source of energy for these countries and can be a very effective solution for them to improve their life standard and overall economic status. In every sphere of life, we need energy, from irrigation to hospital operation, and the use of nuclear energy can ensure better lives for us. Obviously, nuclear power possesses a great power that can destroy a city or even a country if not properly handled, but this is not the reason we should completely forget about a power that can change the world. In conclusion, we should learn from our past mistakes about the explosions of the nuclear centers and then come up with better solutions to use this power towards the betterment of mass people. Model Answer 3. Viewpoint: nuclear technology should be used for human benefits but very carefully and under strict regulation. Nuclear technology has been one of the hottest inventions during the 20th century. However, there have been heated debates about whether this technology should be used at all, even for very constructive purposes such as power generation. The reasons why we need nuclear applications are very dear. First of all, our society is quickly running out of energy supply, and statistics even show a shortage of traditional fuel within 50 years. Besides the poor supply of energy, we are also facing pollution challenges. The CO2 generated in the past century has been roughly equal to the total amount of carbon dioxide released in the entire history before. In short, we do not have enough energy to use and can no longer afford to use it in the old way. Nuclear technology is a much more available and cleaner solution to our possible energy and environmental crisis. At the current level of technology, the discovered nuclear supply will be enough to sustain the Earth for more than a century. Its generation, if properly operated, produces nothing other than heat, so it is considered super clean. However, I fully understand the concerns from nuclear opponents. First of all, nuclear facilities will require strong capabilities to be operated safely. When the operators are not experienced enough, devastating accidents can be created. These have been seen in the former USSR as well as in Japan. It takes time and resources to acquire such capabilities, and not every country can afford it. The other issue with nuclear technology is that it can be easily modified into weapons, which can cost many lives when deployed. Given the challenges we are facing, it is very necessary to promote the nuclear technology. However, this must be carried out very carefully, under strict regulations and the supervision of the entire human society. Model Answer 4. Nuclear technology is a subject that triggers many debates. The use of nuclear power for constructive purposes has been a moot issue since its inception. In my opinion, if used with diligence, nuclear energy can be the pivot of future technological breakthroughs. Let us discourse on this below. From a global perspective, when it comes to natural resources of power generation, the world is witnessing its exhaustion at a faster pace than ever before. For mankind to survive, finding an alternate source of energy has become inevitable, rather explicit. In this context, nuclear power emerges as the most efficient and economical alternative. Many of the experts in the field of technology assert that the need for an alternate energy source has reached such dizzying heights that a nuclear revolution is becoming a reality now. Necessity is the mother of invention, as the saying goes. The need for an efficient and, at the same time, cheaper energy resource has led to the invention of nuclear power. Apart from these enchanting features, power generation and nuclear sources are considered much easier. To cite an example, the labor force required in a nuclear power plant is less compared to others. However, in the midst of globalization, among the many national frontiers, nuclear technology and power pose the greatest threat. Improper use of his powerful technological gizmo could lead to catastrophic effects. Another point relevant here is about the affinity of terrorism and its ambassadors towards nuclear power. The threat posed by this insane breed of people is both global and ubiquitous nowadays. Moreover, safety lapses from nuclear production plants are another risk factor involved. The nuclear power plant leakage that happened in Japan a few years ago and its atrocious effects on the Japanese would exemplify this. From an in-depth analysis of the above discussed points, though the threat posed by nuclear technology is mammoth, I would still accord on its usage for constructive purposes. But one should bear in mind that it should be moderated by benevolent and diligent hands. Sample answer 5. Physicist Enrico Fermi discovered the potential of nuclear fission in 1934, and later Albert Einstein, during the end of the 20th century, enhanced the possibility of its usages with his sole aim to use it for peaceful purposes. Almost all developed countries employ this innovation for numerous reasons, like power generation to craft a bomb. Although I believe that there are safety issues, I agree that nuclear technology must be employed wherever it is beneficial. The basis for my views is economical and ecological. From an economical point of view, even though the initial investment is quite high to ensure multi-level security, the running cost of the nuclear-powered industries is negligible when compared to its peers. For instance, in a nuclear power reactor, 1 gram of uranium can generate electricity equivalent to a thermal reactor that consumes 1,000 kilograms of coal. Moreover, a nuclear reactor supports conservation of natural resources as it requires lesser input. Therefore, nuclear-based plants need to be functional. From an ecological perspective, the nuclear plant supports a greener environment due to the fact that its remains are biodegradable. In addition to that, the nuclear process does not exhaust poisonous gases like its competitors. For example, as per the recent research by the American scientists, air pollution is the highest and lowest in those nations that rely on petroleum-based industries and nuclear plants, respectively, to generate electricity. Petroleum-based industries exhale toxic gases like carbon monoxide and methane, which are hazardous. Thus, it is obvious that nuclear-based plants should be operational. In conclusion, by analyzing how nuclear-based industries save a myriad of money and resources as well as walk hand in hand with the environment, it is agreed that nuclear technology must be put into force wherever it seems advantageous. It is predicted that many rounds of safety checks are carried out before a nuclear plant is operational.
If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. Men do most of the high-level jobs. Should the government encourage a certain percentage of these jobs to be reserved for women? What is your opinion on that? Use your own knowledge and experience and support your arguments with examples and relevant evidence. You should write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Agreement. Though some people would argue that women are working in high-level job positions in many renowned organizations, the reality is that the number of such women employees is very ignorable compared to their male counterparts. As a result, the issue appears to be that the government should reserve a certain percentage of such jobs for women, and this is supported by a group of people while being criticized by another group. In my opinion, the government actually should reserve a percentage of such jobs to maintain equal opportunity, to maintain a balanced workspace, and in the overall economy. First of all, the high-level jobs occupied by the male diminish the balance of power between the male and female in such organizations. Since we are living in a century where we are most sincere in establishing the equal power of men and women, it is very reasonable that women should actually work in such high-level positions. Second, the consumers, end users, and service receivers of a company and organization are both male and female decision-making employees for such companies are equally important compared to the male. Third, the society would like to make a balance between the contribution of males and females and again the power between them. Without letting women work in high-level job positions, it would not be possible. The women are needed to participate in every sphere of society for a better world, and without letting them use their ability, we can't actually expect that. Fourth, the women are improving in terms of education, power, and contribution in the current era more than before, and such a scheme is taken by the government that would inspire them more to run ahead. In third world countries, the fate of a girl is determined when her parents decide if the girl should go to school or should learn to cook and get prepared for marriage. The privilege provided by the government in case of jobs for women would encourage such parents to equally treat their boys and girls. In conclusion, a certain reserved position for women in high-level jobs is actually a good idea to empower the women towards the overall betterment of the organization and society. Model answer 2. Disagreement. Equality for both men and women is the accepted underpinning philosophy of modern society that we live in. Most constitutions maintain an equal right for men and women. Most public institutions and formal organizations hold an equal view in treating either sex. Despite the fact that male high officials outnumber female high officials by a great margin, in most of the countries there is no legal or statutory bar against women going up the ladder. I am against any kind of positive bias towards women in the form of reserving a percentage of higher positions for women. That will only encourage anomaly, imperfection in practices, and, most importantly, it is not going to serve the ultimate goal of escalating women's positions in a society or in a country's economy unless they earn that by themselves rightfully. In the bygone days, women were primarily engaged in household responsibilities. Women's involvement in economic, organizational, and public activities is not a very old practice. But in the recent decades, things have changed dramatically, and many women in the West are going to the top in career and profession. Even in the third world countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, the presence of working women is everywhere, competing with the male counterparts and even surpassing them in many aspects. They are acquiring the necessary education, gaining proper knowledge about their rights, and are in the process of being recognized as organizationally valuable contributors. In Bangladesh, in many instances girls toppled in open public examinations, and their success rate is generally higher than men's. Women are earning professional reputations in their job places as well. Against this backdrop, there is no reason that government should go for reserving positions for women. Instead, a government should take initiatives to eradicate any bias against women and make a favorable work environment for women. Firstly, governments can ensure women's access to education and thus empower them and make them prepared for life, as in many societies women lack education and empowerment. Secondly, women suffer from gender discrimination, chauvinistic behavior, and worse, sexual harassment in workplaces. Governments should have clear and strict policies to ensure an environment where workers from both sexes coexist with ease. Thirdly, women should be entitled to have special conduct during motherhood. Due to the very role of a woman in a family, support from the workplace is important for working women. Women and men both should be viewed as equally capable. If we look over our shoulder, we can see that the number of eligible, skilled, and executive-class working women is actually increasing quickly in recent years. The government should not go for reserving a certain percentage of high-level jobs for women. That will only undermine women's ability, and women will grossly find that their self-respect is on declination. They can find their own way towards the prosperous careers by the virtue and efforts of their own. Model answer 3. Disagreement. High-level jobs have always been held by men. Whether it is the head of the state or the CEO of a multinational company, historically, it has been men who have conquered most of the peaks. Although history has seen women at the peak heights as well, the numbers of such cases have been relatively small. The question of whether there should be a reservation for women in the top positions has increasingly been contemplated by the governments around the world. While such a step would definitely see an increase in the number of peak positions being held by women, it does have its disadvantages. Proponents of the idea of reservation for women cite their underrepresentation as one of the causes. Women have traditionally been underrepresented in the male-dominated society. This has taken a toll on the causes related to women, such as domestic violence. Offering leading positions to women will significantly help such causes. Other people cite equality of both genders as one of the reasons for reservation. In many parts of the world, specifically in developing nations in Asia and the Middle East, women are not treated equally to men. This has led several people to demand reservation for women. They suggest reserving top positions for women would bring a sense of equality among both genders and harmony in society. However, reservation would lead to several problems that are often overlooked. Bringing in reservation would lead to lowering the bar for women. It will lead to many of the positions being filled by women who do not have the required talent and experience, only due to the fact that the positions were reserved for women. This will eventually lead to a fall in productivity and growth of the company or the nation. Such a move would also bring a sense of inequality among men and women, since women would not have to work as hard as men to get the top positions. Rather than bringing in reservations for women for top positions, governments should encourage and support women so they reach these heights rightfully. Support could be in the form of financial aid or free coaching. This would enable women to learn the skills needed to get the top positions and get the top positions without compromising productivity and growth. Model answer 4. Disagreement. The rapid industrialization throughout the 21st century resulted in the startup of multinational companies across the globe. The statistics reported by the Financial Times in September 2015 claim that 90% of the top-level positions are occupied by men on average across all companies. Although I believe that women must be prepared to take over higher positions, I refute that some proportion of top-level jobs is to be reserved for women. Firstly, a company can expect a catastrophic failure if any top-level decision goes astray, especially if the decision involves multi-billion dollars. For instance, a big finance firm named ABC based in Germany went bankrupt in the second quarter of 2014 due to a wrong decision by its president, who was promoted to the top position based on reservation. Moreover, the board of directors needs to scrutinize the top posts with extreme care based on his or her merits, irrespective of gender. Therefore, it is obvious that the top positions should not fall under the reservation policy. Secondly, ignoring an efficient person to fill in a new position leads to discrimination and engenders the lack of motivation among the employees. For example, if a person is simply promoted to the top post, leaving behind the capable colleagues, there are high chances that the colleagues, who think the decision is not fair, will not work efficiently to their caliber. As a result, it is the organization that loses the productivity. Thus, the top positions should never be reserved based on gender or any category. In conclusion, by analyzing how reservation can lead to poor decision-making as well as decreased productivity, reservation should not be in place for top posts. Governments should ensure that they give enough focus to empower women, and head positions should be filled in based on merit irrespective of anything. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? A zoo has no useful purpose. Use specific reasons and examples to explain your answer. You should write at least 250 words. Model answer 1. Agreement. A zoo has no useful purpose. Keeping wild animals in cages for public exhibition is a tradition that people have been performing for a long time, and for the majority of people, this is an amusement and educational purpose for kids, while others think it to be a very inhuman act. This is a much debated issue, and I personally find no usefulness in a zoological garden where these animals and birds of different kinds are kept for public entertainment. First of all, the idea of keeping wild animals in cages is really a brutal one, and humans should not be proud of acting like this. Who has given us the power and authority to forcefully bring animals to zoos and then be hilariously watching their activities? Do our weapons and brains make us superior and powerful enough to decide the lives of other species? No, if we are superior to those wild animals, it is our humanity and superiority of thinking power, and where would that humanity be when we encage other species? There are thousands of amusement parks and children's parks, and we should not make a zoo that would only represent our brutality and the outcry of the animals. Have we ever thought about how pathetic it would be for us if a more intelligent species arrived in our territory and encased us like we do to other animals? Many people would say that those are educational purposes and to let the kids know about those animals. But in a zoo what we see are encaged animals with their dismay and helplessness. Children would never learn the true nature of those animals when they would learn it from a zoo. Animal Planet and Discovery channels are two better alternatives for children to learn about those wild animals than the zoo. Zoos in many countries are used for commercial purposes, and no matter what the authorities do, they can't ensure a free life for a bird that should be flying in the sky rather than trying to escape from the cage. In conclusion, the zoo serves no useful purpose, and there are no good reasons to put the animals and birds in cages. Model answer 2. Agreement. Some people believe that zoos have no useful purpose, while others argue that zoos are used for recreational purposes. This is an issue that is greatly debated and controversial, but I strongly believe that a zoo interrupts our ecological system. There are several reasons for my standing on the side of why the zoo is worthless. Firstly, animals always look beautiful in the forest, which is their natural habitat. Whenever we put animals in cages from the forest, we interrupt the natural law. Thus forests lose their beautiful natural environment. It is also inhumane to put the free animals in cages. Because day by day, animals that are used for human entertainment purposes get deteriorated in their physical growth as well as get interrupted in their normal proliferation. Thus many animals have become extinct. Besides, without the interruption, an animal wandering in a natural forest keeps our natural environment safe. Secondly, sometimes many animals cannot cope with the cages. Moreover, many zoo authorities don't provide necessary foods, proper accommodation, and the right treatment that are required for the survival and production of the animals. Furthermore, zoo authorities earn a lot of money to display these wild animals among the general public, but this money is not properly utilized among these wild animals. As a result, these animals suffer from various kinds of diseases and scarcity of foods. Thirdly, another important point is that the zoo is destroying our food chain system. It is actually destroying the food ecosystems nature preserves. At least, kids who capture animals for their fun and entertainment get a bad impression, and this is not good for their mental growth. A safari park, which is an alternative system to a zoo, where animals get large places and greener trees and foods at the same time, can be a better alternative than a zoo. General people can learn about the animals from these types of natural parks, and this way we can cause less harm to the wild animals and to Mother Nature. In conclusion, we can say that zoos are inhumane and serve almost nothing for us while they destroy the natural equilibrium. Model answer 3. Neutral opinion. I think that the question about whether a zoo has no useful purpose is the one that is open for debate. It is a common question nowadays. Some people believe that a zoo has an essential and cognitive purpose. For instance, a zoo can save some species that might have been lost forever. However, other people believe that a zoo has no useful purpose and people should observe wild animals in their nature, and it is completely unjust to put the wild animal into a case for public exhibition. Personally, I think that both options have reasons to believe. From one side, a zoo has many benefits for people. First of all, children can learn about animals not only from books and TV programs but also from actually watching them alive and observing them. They can see animals, touch them, and even feed them. I think it is an amazing experience for a child. He gains more knowledge and experience from this communication with an animal. Secondly, a zoo is a perfect place for adults to see many animals that people are not able to see in their lives. A zoo creates the opportunity for people who otherwise could never watch these animals. The authority takes great care of the animals they preserve and normally earns a lot of money, which is used for the development of the country. However, from the other side of the view, I keep asking myself, what kind of benefits do we get by confining wild animals in the cages in a zoo? Unfortunately, I think that wild animals should live in their natural environment. Moreover, I think that we should observe them through TV programs sitting in our favorite chairs, or people who like danger should try to observe them in the native environment. I think that animals are not toys. I know that most zoos try to keep their animals in environments that are close to their native ones, but they cannot give them as much freedom as animals want to. It is a frequent matter that many wild animals die after they are confined in the cages, and this is really an abominable act. I think that wild animals should be kept in a zoo only if the authorities can ensure their safety and take good care of them. Model answer 4. Disagreement. A zoo has many useful purposes. Whether a zoo has useful purposes or not and whether we should put the animals in a zoological garden or not is an issue that has been much debated. People are divided in their opinions, and when one group says that zoos should not exist, the other group presents the usefulness of it. In my opinion, a zoo has many useful purposes. People who are against the establishment of zoos always show the logic that we should not keep the free animals in cages, and that's completely a mockery of our true humanity. They have their logic, and to a degree this is logical, but when they question humanity for this act, they are wrong from many perspectives. A zoological garden does not keep all the animals in cages, and many recent zoos ensure the natural environment for the animals they keep in their places. In most of the countries, a zoological garden is monitored strictly, and the health, treatment, and food of animals are ensured. The authority makes sure that the animals are properly taken care of and do not die of diseases. A zoo keeps only a few animals, and this is not a threat to the natural inhabitants of animals. When we talk about humanity, about the ruthless act of keeping the animals in a zoo, where is our humanity when we are killing thousands of animals and birds and selling them in well-decorated shops? The zoo sometimes saves the endangered species and becomes a safe house for many animals. People do not visit the zoo to boast their superiority, rather, they go there for recreational and educational purposes. A child who visits a zoo can learn many things that otherwise would not have been possible. In conclusion, a zoo indeed has many useful purposes, and it is a great educational and recreational place for many people. Model answer 5. Agreement. Captive animals are kept in closed enclosures for public viewing and entertainment. This charade is named as a zoo. Does this place serve any purpose in our betterment as human beings? In my opinion, a zoo does not serve any such purpose, and it should be exiled. Many incidents of animal attacks on humans and vice versa reports from zoos across the world are readily available on the internet these days. The former takes place because these animals are at times traumatized or ill-treated, which contribute to the attacks, whereas the latter is a case where they are molded to our purposes using insane methods. An exemplification would be in India, where elephants are being trained through such methods to serve human purposes. A zoo is basically animals devoid of their natural environment and lifestyles. Animals are bound to roam around the jungle, and we, as humans, have no right to put them behind bars. Though they are fed and groomed well by some, most of the zookeepers are known to pose a notorious approach towards the zoo animals. The situation where animals and birds are caged and displayed to feed human eyes is chaotic. On what grounds could such a place even be considered to serve a useful purpose? A broader perspective would be that people, especially children visiting a zoo, have a recalcitrant impact on our fellow primates in their minds due to the overdominant nature of human beings being displayed. Considering the mentioned problems, any favors in running a zoo are outweighed. Thus it is high time that all zoos should either be shut down or replaced by natural sanctuaries where animals are more close to their natural realm of life. Model answer 6. Disagreement. I had a great childhood, and one of the most precious memories of my life was visiting the zoo in my childhood. While I disagree with the statement that a zoo has no useful purpose, I also agree that animals kept in a zoo might lose their freedom, and it is sometimes disgraceful to put them in iron cages just for our entertainment. First of all, I have a very cherished and vivid memory that I visited at a zoo in Singapore when I was 6 years old. Another time I went to a circus and I saw that an elephant was so unhappy and tired when it was performing. At that moment, I was so sad and felt pity for those animals. Those animals were supposed to be in their natural habitats rather than entertaining people. They had either been caught from a jungle or were sold out from a zoo. Furthermore, the area for the animals in most of the zoos is limited, and it is quite cruel for animals. It's like taking away the freedom of a living animal, and this is not justified according to many. On the other hand, zoos in general serve some useful purposes. The most useful purpose of a zoo is to educate people, especially children. Children who visit a zoo get the chance to know about different animals and can broaden their perspective. From my experience, I can say that zoos are educational for young and adults as well. A zoo is one of the best places for a family to go for a short trip. Furthermore, many animals kept in a zoo get good care, and research shows that saving endangered animals is one of the main purposes of many zoos nowadays. In my opinion, if the proper environment, care, food, and treatment are ensured for animals kept in a zoo, it can further improve the true purpose of a zoo. To conclude, some of the traditional zoos with limited areas, fewer staff, and fewer facilities should be changed to bigger and better zoos. A zoo has many useful purposes, including educating people and safeguarding endangered animals, though keeping animals in a zoo actually takes away their freedom. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Writing Task 2. Band 9 Score Model Essay with Advanced Vocabulary. Question. We are becoming increasingly dependent on computers. They are used in business, hospitals, crime detection, and even to fly planes. What things will they be used for in the future? Is this dependence on computers a good thing, or should we be more suspicious of their benefits? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. You should write at least 250 words. Model Answer 1. Today, the computer has become an indispensable tool in our day-to-day activities. In fact, we find it very difficult to get through a working day without it. In this essay, we will discuss the usage of computers in the foreseeable future. Also, we will analyze how this dependency will have negative impacts on society. To begin with, computers can be used in performing daily chores at the house. For instance, cleaning of the home can be done with the minimum effort and time with the advent of robot maids. In addition, teachers can use computers for teaching their students by staying at their own place. In other words, tutors can arrange multiple classes in different cities at the same time with the help of this tool. Thus, it is obvious that the computer can be used in household work as well as for teaching purposes in the coming future. However, inordinate usage of this tool has many disadvantages. First of all, human beings will be replaced by this machine, leading to the increase in unemployment, which is intrinsically tied to the rate of the crime within the nation. Furthermore, the absence of physical presence of teachers in the classroom can raise the problems of discipline within the students. In other words, social development of these pupils will be harmed and thereby will cause a hindrance in the nation's social growth. From above, it can be seen that computers will be used for various activities at home as well as at educational institutions in the future. But excessive utilization of this machine can boost the issues related to jobs, causing a rise in crime and afflicting the young people's development. It is thus hoped that people will be made aware of the harmfulness of relying too much on computers. Model Answer 2. Computers are a relatively new invention. The first computers were built 70 years ago, and it is in the last 40 years or so that their influence has affected our everyday life. Personal computers were introduced as recently as the early 80s. In this short time, they have made a tremendous impact on our lives. We are now so dependent on computers that it is hard to imagine what things would be without them. You have only got to go into a bank when their main computer is broken to appreciate the chaos that would occur if computers were suddenly removed worldwide. In the future, computers will be used to create bigger and even more sophisticated computers. The prospects for this are quite alarming. They will be so complex that no individual could hope to understand how they work. They will bring a lot of benefits, but they will also increase the potential for unimaginable chaos. They will, for example, be able to fly planes, and they will be able to coordinate the movements of several planes in the vicinity of an airport. Providing all the computers are working correctly, nothing can go wrong, but if one small program fails, disaster. There is a certain inevitability that technology will progress and become increasingly complex. We should, however, ensure that we are still in a position where we can control the technology. It will be too easy to suddenly discover that technology is controlling us. By then it might be too late. I believe that it is very important to be suspicious of the benefits that computers will bring and to make sure that we never become totally dependent on a completely technological world. Sample answer 3. Computers are a relatively new invention, and it's been only 50 years or so since the first computer was evolved. Until then, computers have become an inevitable part of our lives, and we cannot think of even a single day without the use of computers. From a small departmental shop to a large corporate business, from traffic signal controlling to launching rockets, the computer is a must. Again, hospitals, offices, defense and intelligence departments, and educational institutes use computers at every level of their work and service. To understand that, we will just have to go to a bank, where account holders' information and other financial figures are kept on a server computer. If anything goes wrong with the server computer, the result is overwhelming and devastating. Similarly, in a hospital where all data and medical records are stored in computers, and even these computers are used to do many intricate operations. Any error with the computers can affect lots of human lives. It seems that computers are a very vital part of the current world, and as the speed and capability of computers increase day by day, we are becoming more dependent. From personal entertainment to collecting outer space data, from traffic controlling to DNA research, computers are the main tools to depend on. In the future, researchers will use computers and artificial intelligence to bring out the results from most of the research. Humans will try to gather more data on the outer world, and the computer systems and computer-controlled machines will be used to find a suitable alternative for the world to live in. Scientists will invade inner-sea environments for more resources. The education system will be mostly dependent on computers. As artificial intelligence improves in the future, so will the robotics to replace humans with computers to do most of the jobs. Lie detectors and DNA testing systems will be flawless, and the criminal investigating departments will use the computers to find the clues of any crime. Satellite communications and the internet would be a part of our lives, and all the present communication systems like fax, mail, or telegram will be just history for the next coming generation. Most people will read from a computer screen and will write through a keyboard or voice recognition systems. In short, computers will be used in almost all levels of life, from playing video games to digital cyberwar in the future. Throughout history, humans have always invented and are still trying to invent new tools and machines to make our lives more secure and easy. But no other single device or tool has been as influential as the computer. Day by day we're becoming more and more dependent upon computers. In my opinion, we cannot stop using computers, or even we can't lessen the uses of computers. The development of technology will follow its own track no matter what we think about it. Dependency is necessary, but too much of it can be malevolent for the whole human race when it comes in terms of computers. So we must make sure that we are controlling machines, not the machines controlling us. We don't want a scenario like the famous Hollywood movie, Terminator, where humans are fighting for their existence against their own created machines. Sample answer 4. In my opinion, there is nothing wrong in depending on computers. They play a major role in our daily life. Nowadays, parents want their child to study in a school that has smart classrooms. A smart classroom consists of a projector, a laptop, or a palm-top for each child. Usage of computers at a hospital is vital because it helps the hospital management to keep track of every patient's medical history. Also, computers are used in electrocardiogram tests, echo tests, and in many other tests that save millions of lives. Moreover, this cutting-edge technology is also used in many sports like cricket, football, and tennis. For example, in cricket, Hawkeye technology is used to find no balls and leg-by wickets. Furthermore, without computers, it would have been impossible for us to find the presence of water on the moon. Consider satellites. They play a humongous role in telecommunications, and without them, humankind cannot think of communicating with overseas friends or relatives. My cousin is just 6 years old, but she is watching videos on YouTube on her own, which implies that computers attract younger generations. Though this advent in the state of the art technology has many advantages, it also has a few disadvantages. Nowadays, Children are browsing adult content on the internet, which will surely spoil them. Due to much advancement in technology, it makes a person lazy, which is the potential cause of obesity, diabetes, and many such diseases. In spite of having few disadvantages, dependency on computers is more appreciable, but it should be in limits. There should be an equilibrium between science and nature. Model answer 5. Computers are tools made by humans to make things easier and to make our lives advanced. The computers have become an essential product in every house, every office, and even in the everyday life of people. Psychology, sociology, mathematics, biology, environmental science, crime investigations, constructions and engineering sector, technology-related fields, vocational training, etc. are the fields where computers have printed their footpath to prove their importance. Programs in a computer are used to complete tasks in a robot also. Such computers are essential in our lives. The software of computers could be used for many purposes, such as learning through computers, accounting in computers, drawing, storage of information, sending information from one person to another, etc. With time, demand for computers is also increasing. An example can be, in every interview for the government, private, or non-government jobs, they prefer to check the knowledge and usage of computers that is to obtain maximum output from employees within a small time duration. Since a computer needs only a small space compared to cupboards of files, it is very easy to store the documents in the computer in a soft version and could be reused at any time without physical damages or losses. The same file could be stored in different locations in a safe manner. There are more advantages of computers than their disadvantages. This is the era of technological evolution. In future models and versions, the computers will be more user-friendly even for an uneducated person. This will definitely lead to an increase in the usage of the computers. Sometimes, we should be suspicious of its benefits. For example, a talented person's real talent may be disclosed by a person who does the work of a computer. The writing skills of the children decrease due to the usage of computers. Also, they get more eye problems, get addicted to computer-based games, and have ergonomic problems from spending much time on computers. But these are due to the malpractices of humans and not by computers. If we use the computers only for proper practices, then we can realize the invention of the computer is only for the benefits. Sample answer 6. Ever since our childhood, we have been learning that necessity is the mother of invention. Now in this global era, it seems to be really true. In the future, technology will have tremendous effects on our societies, the global environment, and the economy. After a few decades, the world will be using much more advanced technology than the present. For the sake of argument, today's generation seems to be amazed when they listen to that people used to carry a 2-square-inch floppy disk for just 64 megabytes 2 decades before. In this essay, I will discuss the impacts of technology on our future. Today, whatever advanced technology we have, it has made the survival of human beings easier, and the reverse is true if we are misusing it. Solving complex business issues, collecting and creating solid forensic evidence, and even taking help from autopilot at an altitude of 37,000 feet and more, all these useful advancements in technology have created a hot debate about where technology can go further in the future. Nowadays, scientists are also worried about global warming issues, which show significant effects of industrialization to which the world is going. In the future, technology will be so advanced that travel between one corner of the world and another will be more luxurious and short, leading superpowers of the world to make their defense stronger. Alternate energy resources may replace conventional ones, and the use of technology, especially information technology, will bring the world closer and closer. In the end, I believe that a sufficient amount of money should be allotted in the budget for technology improvement so environmental issues may be addressed substantially, and international law enforcement agencies should remain proactive to play their role in perceiving and addressing local and international breaches of labor and environmental laws, respectively. Sample answer 7. We are well aware of the latest technology and gadgets used around us. In all the electronic gadgets, the use of computers has increased a lot in our day-to-day life. It has a big role in almost all the places in our society. Like hospitals, police stations, crime detections, and airplanes, where computers can be used to keep a record of a patient history, current status of his disease, to keep the records of crimes in a particular city, to measure air pressure, and to give updated information, and so on. The computer has made our life so comfortable and easy. In old days we used to keep all records in a file, which was manual and paperwork. It used to take so much space to store lots of files. You needed to remember all the files and where they had been placed so that searching would be easy, and people needed to be hired to give the safety to those files. This all hectic task has been replaced by a small computer. Now there is no paperwork, and everything can be stored in a 1 terabyte hard disk. It's portable to carry from one place to another, share the information easily, and can search a record in a fraction of a second. Moreover, it can be used in other activities also, like if we want to research something or to know anything worldwide, we can plug in an internet connection to computers and Google any information. It also helps students in their studies, like reading books, painting, sketching, mathematics calculation, or any other work related to study. In this type we are almost dependent on computers in various ways. In my opinion, there will be some other concepts of computers in the future. For example, we give instructions to computers to perform any operation. The computer cannot do anything unless we are not passing instructions to it. But in the future, there is a possibility to program a computer in such a manner that it will decide what operations it needs to perform in what scenarios and how to solve any type of issue, which is called a robot. Our scientists are working hard on various research, like life after death and cloning a human with the help of computers. This invention will cross every limit of life, and we would be able to make anything possible that seems impossible now. Dependency on computers can be helpful or can bring serious issues also in our lives. For example, if a robot is programmed to trouble humans or to create problems, it will be a serious threat for us. Robot computers can do anything, like murder, robbery, and bomb blasting, as they would not have any emotion to think about the human and the pain of life loss, which can bring disaster. So in my opinion, excess of anything is bad. We can be in a soup if anything goes wrong in the programming of high-end human computers. Using computers is good to some extent, but it should not go beyond the usual limit and our natural lifestyle. Model answer 8. The invention of the computer is referred to as an epoch among the other technological breakthroughs of the last century. The role of computers in today's lifestyle has reached such dizzy heights that anyone could ever imagine. Righteously, its use in various fields of medicine, crime investigation, and even aerospace engineering is explicit. In the midst of a computer-driven world, its future purposes are infinite. The affinity that humans have developed for this technological gizmo is monumental, and this dependency, for many, is moot. In the present scenario, the majority of the fields mankind thrives on are revolutionized by computers. Its significance in the medical field, for instance, is quite imperative. For example, from the safeguarding of patient medical records to the automated and meticulous interpretation of investigation reports, are computerized. The role of computers in crime investigation is rather inevitable nowadays. Global satellite tracking on personal gadgets of criminals to chase them down would exemplify this. Another significant technological impact computers made is in aerospace, where, even flying an aircraft has become computerized. Was Charles Babbage dubious whether this was the same? The future use of computers by humankind is endless. To name or pinpoint its future prospects would be cumbersome or rather impossible. Some believe that in the near future, computers will serve the purpose of being the first hand of help to humans. A globalized world under the umbrella of the computer revolution is not as far-sighted as before. The very existence of computer-operated human robots that could even replace a human is not a myth anymore. Now, having discussed about the computer revolution and its effects on mankind, a question of one getting dependent on computers is impeccable. In this globalized world, computer addiction is a major concern that is unattended. Children spending long hours on computers and their misuse in workplaces by employees is ubiquitous and a generally accorded bane. In my opinion, as humans, one should be able to imbibe the virtues and reject the vices when it comes to using computers. Model answer 9. We are living in an ultra-modern tech time, and the computer is the greatest invention of this 24th century. The sky-touching demand for computers exists in each and every sector of our lives. Hence the dependency on it is increasing significantly. Nowadays, hardly any sector can be found where a computer is not used, and I think it is going to spread out more in the near future. From my point of analysis, computers are going to take the place of many professionals like doctors, engineers, or legal advisors very soon. Maybe these days are not so far when we would consult with supercomputers in regards to our health issues or any legal advice instead of the professional body. Moreover, I believe some special utilization of computers, like flying planes, would be used randomly in our future daily life. For instance, it will not be surprising at all if computers are going to be our future car drivers or traffic controllers. Without any doubt, the computer is one of the blessings of modern science that makes our life more convenient. However, it is believed that mass utilization of computers can be harmful to our health and social life. The critics are also skeptical about its benefits due to the negative aspects, such as circularizing it like cybercrime or the least physical movements of the human body. Despite these issues, I suppose a computer is a fundamental need of people nowadays. The computer has reduced the workload and saved the precious time that may possibly be used in more productive works or resolving some alarming global problems like finding the cure for the fatal disease, preventing terrorism and war, or settling for refugees. In conclusion, I believe computers will be used in every sector of our lives in the near future, and we will become free from such typical responsibilities to do something great for the betterment of our next generation as well as our planet. If you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel.